Voting to select new CPNUML leadership underway. Total of 802 delegates cast their ballots by this evening. Election Commission makes new provision on use of flag during the election campaigning. Proposes new provision in the Election Code of Conduct. Japanese encephalitis claims 6 lives in 5 months in Chitwan. Doctors suggest wearing full-sleeve clothes when stepping outside. Asian Development Bank ADB to provide Nepal with a $100 million concessional loan decides to this effect to support Nepal's fiscal federalism. Naveed Akram, charged with 59 offences over the Bandai mass shooting that saw 15 people killed, remains hospitalised in Sydney under police guard. And Nepal suffers a 6-wicket defeat to Afghanistan in Under-19 Asia Cup cricket tournament match today. Nepal now out of the tournament following 3 consecutive defeats. Good evening, I'm Smitugi Singh Thamang and this is NTV World Primetime News coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Across the globe it's 1:15 p.m. in London, 10:15 p.m. in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. Voting to select the new leadership of the Nepal Communist Party UML is still underway. According to the Central Election Commission, a total of 802 delegates had cast their ballots by 5 p.m. The voting began at 9:30 a.m. today at Brikuti Mandap in Kathmandu. The Commission said the process has been delayed as voting is being conducted through machines, with each voter taking significantly longer than expected. Deputy Chief Election Commissioner Sanu Raja Pokhrel said it has taken up to 2 hours for some individuals to complete the voting process. Publicity Department Chief Rajendra Gautam added that while it was initially estimated each voter would need at least 30 to 35 minutes, the actual time has exceeded expectations. There's a contest between KP Sharma Oli and Ishwar Pokhrel for the party chairperson's post. In addition, 622 candidates are competing for 301 seats on the Central Committee, including 19 office-bearer positions. A total of 2,263 delegates are participating in the party's General Convention. Nepal's Election Commission has made a new provision on use of flag during the election campaigning. In the coming March 5 election to the House of Representatives HOR, the Commission proposed a new provision in the Election Code of Conduct, as per which the political parties would not be allowed carrying more than 10 flags. Such scheme is being introduced to curb the misuse of flag. The office of the party or election candidate can place a flag prepared with fabric 3 by 4 feet or have a signboard of same size. The political parties are not allowed to use digital board, flex or glue signboard and audiovisual materials as the flag. The proposed Code of Conduct has further reminded the political parties to not visit the voter's doorstep in a group of over 25 persons. The election campaigning will be further deterred using musical bands and pageants. Lalitpur Metropolitan City marked its 107th founding anniversary with a special program today, bringing together political parties, local representatives and community members. Prime Minister Sushila Karki, addressing the program, said the government is working with a strong focus on good governance and elections, emphasizing its commitment to completing the upcoming House of Representatives polls.
मुलुकलाई संविधान सम्मत लोकतान्त्रिक विधि र सुशासनको मार्गमा सुरक्षित तवरले अघि बढाउन हाम्रा सामु रहेको एकमात्र विकल्प भनेको निर्वाचन नै हो। म थप प्रश्न पार्न चाहन्छु, समाजमा कुनै पनि खालका अराजकताले ठाउँ पाउनु हुँदैन। शान्ति खलबलाउने, कानुन हातमा लिने जस्ता अराजक र अपराधिक क्रियाकलाप नियन्त्रण गर्न सुरक्षा प्रशासन सक्षम र सक्रिय छ। खराब तत्त्वको प्रतिरोध गर्न समुदायको नि भूमिका उत्तिकै हुन्छ। आउनुहोस् यसमा हातमालो गरौँ।
6 people have died from Japanese encephalitis in Chitwan district over the past 5 months, according to the Chitwan District Public Health Office. Since mid-July, 17 infected patients have been admitted to hospitals, out of which 6 have died. The deceased include 2 residents of Bharatpur Metropolitan City, 1 from Khaireni Municipality, 2 from Rapti Municipality and 1 from Kalika Municipality. Among the fatalities, 3 were under the age of 15, 5 were between 15 and 60 years old, and 9 were above 60 years of age, health officials said. Japanese encephalitis is a mosquito-borne viral disease transmitted by the bite of female Culex mosquitoes. These mosquitoes usually stay outdoors, bite mainly outside homes, and are most active during the early morning and evening hours. The virus spreads when mosquitoes bite infected animals such as pigs, wild boars, and birds, including ducks. Doctors have advised people to wear full-sleeved clothing when outdoors, especially in the evening and morning, to reduce the risk of infection. Cold wave conditions has begun in Tarai districts, including in Nepal's far western district Kanchanpur, leading to a noticeable drop in daily activities. Since early morning, movement in market areas has declined, with fewer people seen walking or heading to work in Mahendranagar and surrounding areas. Dense fog combined with cold wave has significantly reduced visibility, making it difficult to see over long distances. As temperatures continue to fall, people in market areas have been forced to sit around open fires to keep warm. Locals have started lighting fires at various junctions and alleys to protect themselves from the cold. The cold weather has particularly affected elderly people and school children, causing discomfort and increasing the risk of illness. Following the onset of the cold wave, the number of patients seeking treatment at Mahakali Provincial Hospital in Kanchanpur has also increased. We'll take a short break here. More news coming up. You're watching NTV World Primetime News. Chinese ambassador to Nepal Chen Song paid a courtesy call on Prime Minister Sushila Karki at Singhadarbar on Monday as he is preparing to return home after completing his tenure. According to the Prime Minister's Secretariat, the meeting focused on various aspects of Nepal-China relations and issues of mutual bilateral interest. On the occasion, Ambassador Song said that China, as a close friend of Nepal, has been supporting Nepal's development and infrastructure sectors and assured that such cooperation would continue in the future. Prime Minister Karki congratulated Ambassador Song on the successful completion of his tenure and wished him a pleasant journey back home. The Prime Minister reaffirmed Nepal's commitment to the One China policy and assured that Nepal would not allow any activities from its territory that could undermine China's national interest. Nepal's government has expressed a firm commitment to launching a campaign against corruption so that integrity and good governance would be established. Secretary at the Office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers Gobindra Bahadur Karki on Tuesday made such commitment while addressing a session under the 11th session of the Conference of State Parties to the UN Convention Against Corruption, UNCAC, themed Shaping Tomorrow's Integrity in Doha, Qatar. In his statement, Secretary Karki informed that the incumbent government in Nepal had adopted a strict zero-tolerance policy against corruption and pursued robust legal, administrative and institutional reforms. The leader of the Nepali delegation reaffirmed Nepal's unwavering commitment to the UNCAC and shed light on the obligations of the Financial Action Task Force FATF Action Plan and the Second National Strategy and Action Plan Against Corruption being finalized. The conference is considered the world's largest gathering dedicated to combating corruption. It began on Tuesday. The Asian Development Bank ADB will provide Nepal with a $100 million concessional loan to support fiscal federalism, strengthen public financial management and improve budgetary systems at the federal, provincial and local levels. The loan under Sub-Program 2 of ADB's Strengthening Public Financial Management and Devolved Service Delivery Program was signed by Finance Secretary Dr. Ghanshyam Upadhyaya and ADB Nepal Country Director Arnaud Kokois at the Ministry of Finance. The policy-based loan will be offered as budgetary support with a 25-year repayment period, including an 8-year grace period. The interest rate will be 1% until February 1, 2034, rising to 1.5% thereafter. Officials said the program aims to enhance budget formulation and implementation, improve service delivery, strengthen fiscal discipline, and empower local governments, contributing to inclusive and sustainable development. The number of Nepalese seeking foreign employment has been increasing every year, largely due to limited job opportunities within the country. According to the Department of Foreign Employment, 839,000 people obtained labour permits in the last fiscal year, including 94,000 women. In the current fiscal year, up to mid-December, 339,000 plus individuals have already received labour approval. During the same period last year, the figure stood at 323,000, showing a noticeable rise. Migration has become a major source of remittance income for the country. According to central bank data, Nepal received around 1.7 trillion Nepali rupees in remittances in the last fiscal year. Nepal has signed labour agreements with 12 countries, including Qatar, South Korea, Bahrain, Jordan, Malaysia, Japan, Mauritius, the UAE, Israel and the UK, Romania and Germany. Although the Department of Foreign Employment has formally opened institutional foreign employment in 108 countries, Nepali workers, both through institutional and individual channels, are seeking jobs in around 180 countries worldwide. International news coming up next. For now, a short break. Naveed Akram has been charged with 59 offences over the Bondi mass shooting on Sunday that saw 15 people killed. The 24-year-old awoke from a coma on Tuesday after sustaining injuries during an exchange of fire with police in Bondi. He remains hospitalised in Sydney under police guard. The offences include 1 terrorist act, 15 counts of murder and 40 counts of cause wounding, grievous bodily harm to person with intent to murder. Australian police have also charged Akram over discharging a firearm, the public display of a prohibited terrorist organisation symbol, and placing an explosive near building. Police will allege Akram engaged in conduct that caused death, serious injury and endangered life to advance a religious cause and cause of fear in the community. He faced court today via video conference and is set to face another court mention on Monday. U.S. President Donald J. Trump signed a new proclamation aimed at tightening entry restrictions for nationals from countries deemed high risk due to persistent and severe deficiencies in screening, vetting and information sharing. In a statement released by the White House, the administration said the measure seeks to protect U.S. national security and public safety. The proclamation also narrows family-based visa exemptions to reduce fraud risks while preserving case-by-case waivers. Exceptions remain for lawful permanent residents, existing visa holders, diplomats, athletes and individuals whose entry serves U.S. national interests. Doctors are picketing outside London's St Thomas Hospital in London as a 5-day strike by resident doctors in England gets underway following the government's failure to present what medics describe as a credible offer on pay and workforce shortages. The industrial action comes at a critical time just ahead of the busy Christmas season and as the UK grapples with a super flu outbreak that is placing additional strain on the National Health Service, NHS. Despite a new government offer last week, the strike is going ahead. The British Medical Association BMA said 83% of its members used to continue the walkout in an online poll held over the weekend with a turnout of 65%. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer said he was gutted by the outcome, calling the decision irresponsible given the mounting pressure on health services from rising flu cases. The BMA had agreed to the snap poll after the government proposed a revised deal that included increasing the number of specialty training posts and covering out-of-pocket expenses such as exam fees. However, union leaders said the offer fell short of addressing long-standing concerns over real terms pay erosion and staffing shortages. Meanwhile, amid ongoing strike action by NHS staff, health officials are urging the public to continue seeking emergency medical care. Health Secretary Paul Williams-Treating emphasized that despite the industrial action, no one should avoid hospitals if they need urgent treatment.
Welcome to this special Christmas edition of Select Committee, and we're delighted to be joined today by the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, Wes Streeting. Thank you so much for coming. He is accompanied by his two most senior colleagues. And thank you so much, Samantha. Welcome. This is your first, I think, session to this conversation. So thank you all three. It is a
thing here, which is I'm responsible for 1.5 million staff in the NHS, not just doctors.
Thank you very much. Continuing on with the strikes, the cost of the July's induction.
I think we're off to a decent start, but this is going to be a challenging 5 days and a really challenging few weeks. And we're doing everything we can to keep the show on the road. We are entirely focused on getting the NHS through the next 5 days of industrial action. And in fact, I'm probably just as, if not more, worried about the weeks that follow.
Time again for a short break. We shall see you at the other side with more updates. Welcome back. More from International Front. A South Korean court has scheduled January 16, 2026 as the date to deliver its verdict in former President Yoon Suk-yeol's trial for allegedly obstructing the execution of an arrest warrant despite his request for a delay. Yoon is facing multiple criminal trials, including charges of obstructing the execution of an arrest warrant issued by the Corruption Investigation Office for high-ranking officials, CIO, and leading an insurrection. The arrest obstruction case will be the first among 5 cases involving the former president to reach a verdict. The court set the sentencing date in accordance with the Appointment of Independent Prosecutor Act, which requires that a first trial verdict be rendered within 6 months of indictment. Yoon's legal team has requested that the court postpone the verdict until after a ruling is issued in the separate insurrection trial. Several dozen farmers gather outside the European Parliament in Strasbourg, Bas-Rhin, to protect against the free trade agreement between the European Union and the Latin American Mercosur countries, as well as the handling of the outbreak of contagious nodular dermatitis, CND. The demonstrators, many arriving with tractors and farm equipment, voiced strong opposition to a planned free trade agreement between the EU and the Mercosur bloc of South American countries, Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay and Uruguay. Farmers argue that the pact would open EU markets to cheaper agricultural imports produced under lower environmental and labour standards, threatening local producers' livelihoods. The protest comes amid growing frustration across the agricultural sector, not only over the trade deal, but also over the EU's handling of recent outbreaks of contagious nodular dermatitis C&D among cattle. French farmers in particular have criticised government and EU agricultural authorities for their response to the disease. Now the sports update. Nepal lost to Afghanistan by 6 wickets in the match held today under the Under-19 Asia Cup cricket tournament. In its final group stage match under the Group B held in Dubai, the UAE today, Afghanistan achieved the victory target of 125 runs as set by Nepal in 26.5 overs, losing 4 wickets. For Afghanistan's victory, Uzarullah Niyazai scored 61 runs while Osman Sadat contributed 28 runs with captain Mehboob Khan remaining unbeaten on 11 runs. For the bowling side, Nepal's Abhishek Tiwari took 2 wickets and Bipin Sharma took 1 wicket. Earlier, invited to bat first after losing the toss, Nepal was all out for 124 runs in 46.4 overs. Dilsad Ali top scored with 32 runs for Nepal, while Chandan Ram contributed 27 runs and Abhishek Tiwari added 20 runs. Afghanistan's Zaitullah Shaheen took 3 wickets, while Abdul Aziz and Nuristani Omarzai and Wahidullah Zadran took 2 wickets each. Nepal is now out of the tournament following today's defeat, the 3rd consecutive defeat in the tournament. Prior to this, Nepal had lost to Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Paris Saint-Germain winger Ousmane Dembele won the Best FIFA Men's Player Award, while Barcelona midfielder Aitana Bonmati claimed the Best FIFA Women's Player honour for a 3rd consecutive year. England's Lionesses also had a successful outing, with Serena Wakeman named Best FIFA Women's Coach and Hannah Hampton emerging Best FIFA Women's Goalkeeper. Paris Saint-Germain's Champions League winning manager Luis Enrique was crowned Best FIFA Men's Coach. Argentina's Santiago Montiel won the FIFA Puskas Award, while Mexico's Lisbeth Ovel claimed the FIFA Marta Award for her spectacular reverse scorpion kick. FIFA has introduced a small number of more affordable $60 tickets for all 104 matches of the 2026 World Cup, following criticism of its pricing structure for the tournament. World Football's governing body says the new ticket price will be available to a certain number of loyal fans of the countries that have qualified for the World Cup. The €45 ticket falls to the supporter entry tier, the lowest price category, and will make up 10% of the allocation for each football association whose team has taken part in a competition being hosted by Canada, Mexico and the United States. For England and Scotland, this will mean about 400 tickets will be available for £45 for their group matches. Meetings took place over the weekend and early this week with senior officials in Doha, Qatar, where initial feedback on pricing was discussed. Having raised fans' concerns over the cost of tickets with FIFA's hierarchy before the meeting in Doha, English Football Association insiders privately see the announcement as a step in the right direction. And before we wrap up, let's take a look into the headlines once again. Voting to select new CPNUML leadership underway. Total of 802 delegates cast their ballots by this evening. Election Commission makes new provision on use of flag during the election campaigning. Proposes new provision in the Election Code of Conduct. Japanese encephalitis claims 6 lives in 5 months at Chitwan. Doctors suggest wearing full-sleeve clothes when stepping outside. Asian Development Bank to provide Nepal with a $100 million concessional loan decides to this effect to support Nepal's fiscal federalism. Naveed Akram charged with 59 offences over the Bondi mass shooting that saw 15 people killed, remains hospitalised in Sydney under police guard. And Nepal suffers a 6-wicket defeat of Afghanistan in Under-19 Asia Cup cricket tournament match today. Nepal now out of the tournament following 3 consecutive losses. That's all for this edition of NTV World Primetime News for now. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website www.nepaltelevision.com. This is me, Gising Tamang. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu, Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it.
NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands.
Reporting for Public Service Broadcasting.
Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices. Where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by.
Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
स्वागत छ लुक्लामा तपाईहरुलाई राम्रोसँग आउनुभयो के प्लेनमा डरहरु लाग्नु भएन प्लेन भित्तैमा ठोकेला जस्तो हुन्छ यहाँ त
At an altitude of 2,860 meters, Lukla is the starting point of arguably one of the best trekking routes in the world, up to the Mount Everest base camp, finishing above 5,400 meters. Ram is one of hundreds of seasonal porters in the route.
अब यो त मान्छेलाई पनि यस्तै हो सजिलो त सर यो किनभने हिलो हुँदैन बेस क्याम्प जाँदा अब क्याम्पको 1000 रुपैयाँ हुन्छ डबल बारी बोकेर 3 क्याम्प 2-3 क्याम्प जति हिँडिन्छ त्यतिखेर चाहिँ 5000 जति बस्छ
The route is popular, in fact crowded. This is only for the 2 months of April and May, and so is the profession of Ram a seasonal affair.
अब कुनै खेर पाइन्छ कुनै खेर पाइँदैन मान्छे यतिकै हुन्छ त अब कुनै खेर त अब 4-5 दिन यतिकै बसेकै बजारतिर आयो घुम्यो यतिकै फेरि कोठामा फर्केर आयो अब बाकी खाना खाँदै बस्यो त्यस्तै हो सर विदेश जाउँ त अब लाग्छ जानुलाई पनि फेरि अलिक गाह्रै छ पैसा चाहिन्छ अब पैसा छैन त्यो पेसामा पढाइ चाहिँ पुरुषहरु नै हुन्छ महिलाहरु पनि आधी उधी हुन्छ यो बिहानदेखि कहिले अब घाम लागिरहन्छ एकछिनमा यस्तो बादल आइहाल्छ डुममा भइहाल्छ यहाँको मौसम यस्तै हो सर पढेको भए त बाँकी अब सानोतिनो जबहरु हुन्थ्यो कि
Trekkers pass through nearly 6-7 small hamlets along the Lukla-Namche section of the route.
यहाँ सबै घरमा बिजुली पानीको राम्रो व्यवस्था छ सर
The locals do not have infrastructures or might have resected roads, but they have embraced development.
नाम्चे लुक्ला सबै बाटोभरि नै फोहोर राख्ने बाटो राखिदिनु भएको छ
The topography is inhospitable, but the people are friendly.
यहाँ हरेक गाउँको आफ्नो आफ्नै हाइड्रो बिजुली निकाल्ने पावर छ
Solar panels give much needed warm water to survive the cold. No wonder everything comes at a cost here. Charging a cell phone or getting a Wi-Fi connection.
साह्रै दुःख पाइयो मम्मी सानैमा बित्यो अनि पढ्नै पाएन यस्तो दुःख गर्नु परेछ अब छोराछोरीलाई चाहिँ अब यस्तो दुःख गरेर भए पनि पढाउँछु अङ्ग्रेजी बोल्ने भए त अब कति अब खैराहरू भेट्छन् हिजो पनि 4 जना भेटेको थियो फाल्टो ग्रुप अब अङ्ग्रेजी बोल्न जानिदैन त्यही भएर पठाइदियो ल अब यहाँ चाहिँ खाना खाने ठाउँ हो यहाँ खाना खानु पर्यो
हजुर सबभन्दा धेरै थुक्पा नै हो किनभने अरू खाजा पनि जान्छ नि त जानु त बनायो भने जान्छ तर त्यो सकिहालेन भने फेरि त्यो बिग्रिन्छ के अमिलो
Food is no more cooked in firewood like in the past, despite LP gas cylinders arriving either on humans' back or the beast of burdens. Our first day trek concludes at Phakding, a small hamlet at an altitude of 2,610 meters. Almost all trekkers lodge here on the first day to acclimatize themselves for higher elevations. The place has amenities for travelers at par with an urban town, except roads and infrastructures.
यहाँ यो फलामको चिम्नी नभएको त गरै हुँदैन सर यहाँ त फलामको चिम्नी गएन भने त जाडोले मरिहाल्छ
As the dawn breaks, Ram emerges from his overnight elopement for lodging.
अब जाने होला सर उकालो यो अलिक सपना बिग्रियो अनि त्यति राम्रो सुते सपनामा त खै कस्तो अचम्मको सपना देख्यो सपनामा चाहिँ बुढी चाहिँ अर्कैसँग गएको देखेको खै केही कुरामा चाहिँ डिस्केस भएको जस्तो भयो अनि त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ कपडा सपडा प्याक गरेर हिँडेको सपना देख्यो के गर्न सकिएन खै कहिले के गर्ने हो मान्छे बुढी राम्रो छ सपना चाहिँ त्यस्तो देखेँ कस्तो अचम्म लाग्यो बुढी फेरि मभन्दा ठुलो छ कि मभन्दा त राम्रै पनि छ ठुलो पनि छ त्यस्तो सपना देख्दा चाहिँ कुनै केरा चाहिँ अब डर पनि लाग्छ क्या बा पछि अब छोडेर हिँडिने हो कि अब आफूसँग केही नभएपछि त होइन बा अब हिँडिने हो कि जस्तो पनि लाग्छ यो सागो हो यो सागो चाहिँ काठको बनाएको यो बर्खामा ठुलो पानी आउँछ ठुलो खोला हुँदाखेरि त बगाएर लगिहाल्छ फेरि बनाउँछ यो चाहिँ पारी घाँस दाउराको लागि बनाउँछ
The Kumbh region has more than a dozen suspension and concrete bridges to safely cross the Dudh Kosi, meaning Milk White Kosi and its tributaries. As we continue our steep climb towards Namche Bazaar, we pass through freshly felled pine trees.
यो चाहिँ घरको लागि काठ काटेको हो यो घरको काठ काट्दाखेरि चाहिँ यो निस्केको दाउरा हो सर यो दाउरा अब सधैँभरि फुल्दैन कुनै बेला फुल्दाखेरि चाहिँ काट्ने
Only permitted numbers are cut every year, while the locals do not forget to grow pine saplings in their backyard to replace the cut ones. This is the entry point of Sagarmatha National Park, a buffer zone guarded by Nepal Army. The small hamlet of around 200 houses is no less than a modern town as we venture around the next morning with Ram. We not only discover Ram's free-of-cost night laws, but also a secret tavern where porters gather to gamble.
टुरिस्ट आएन भने त अब यहाँ त अब गाह्रो छ नि सर अब आलु मात्रै फलाएर अब के खानु यहाँ त्यो पनि अब आलु धेर फल्दैन कम फल्छ टुरिस्ट आएन भने त धेरै गाह्रो छ सर अब छनु त छ कि अझ योभन्दा राम्रो योभन्दा नि अब राम्रो अब घरहरू बनाओस् राम्रो सरसफाइ होस् अब राम्रो सुविधा होस् त्यहाँदेखि चाहिँ आउँछ यहाँ त अब त्यस्तो मोटरहरू आयो भने त फेरि हामीलाई गाह्रो भइहाल्छ नि सर अब हामी फेरि अब हामी पोटरहरू फेरि त्यतिकै हुन्छ बेरोजगार हुन्छ अब हाम्रो त अब खै जिन्दगी त अब यस्तोले त अब गाह्रै हो तर अब के गर्नु त सर अब खासै अब केही अब गर्ने बाटै छैन हाम्रो अब यही नै हो हाम्रो त
A phone call from Lukla upsets us more than Ram as he misses a much better opportunity to accompany trekkers to the base camp. The weather remains unfavorable as we fail to catch a glimpse of the Mount Everest. With a bit of dejection for not being able to see the roof of the world, we start our journey back to Lukla. On the way, Ram gives us a good news. He got another lucrative trip.
अब चाहिँ अलिक चाँडो जानु पर्ला सर अब अझै म फेरि फर्केर नाम्चे पुग्नु पर्ने छ.
Back at Lukla, Ram prepares himself for the 14-day trip to the base camp with high hopes for making decent earning. It's time to part now as Ram bids us goodbye in a haste in Lukla to make his dream come true. A roof for his wife and education for his little princess.
Hello, Saudi Kharka, hello!
एकदमै राम्रो रहेछ रिफ्रेस्ड फिल भयो त्यो क्योसबाट अलि टाढा आएको जस्तो
यहाँसम्मको एउटा केबल कार भइदिए एकदम बेटर हुन्थ्यो जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई
माहौल अथवा यहाँको वातावरण यति रमणीय छ कि यसलाई शब्दमा वर्णन गर्न पनि साध्य छैन
The gently flowing Sani Bheri is suddenly veiled by drifting clouds, and with the chill rising from its swift current, the desire to soar is fulfilled as we enter eastern Rukum. Stone and clay houses stacked upon one another, the white Himalayan peaks, vibrant flower gardens of Bukit Batan, melodious rivers and lakes, and unique authentic arts and culture. All of these make Eastern Rukum a place that captivates every visitor. Our aim is to bring this distant, remote land closer to all. This time our destination is Chauri Kharga, located at an altitude of about 4,000 meters above sea level. Our trek begins at Bati Halune. On the border of Eastern Rukum and Baglung along the Mid-Hill Highway. Though it is said that the hike to Chauri Kharga takes around 3 hours, we wonder how long it will take us.
रमाइलो छ उद्यान छ हात हातीतिर त्यही ल घामले गर्दा मैले एउटा सेकेन्ड रमाइलो लाग्यो गर्दा भन्ने यस्तो रमाइलो ठाउँ रहेछ हेर्नु
I'm very happy.
होइन अहिले चाहिँ त्यही अब आज हजुर बिहान 5 बजे आएर दिएको हिजो बेलुका त पुरै कुहिरो दियो यहाँ त
Chorikarka sits high in the hills of Bhumi Rural Municipality 1 in eastern Rukum. It is truly a rare gift of nature, beyond words to fully describe. Wide grazing lands, blossoming flowers, and herds of yaks, sheep, and horses make Chorikarka a destination of extraordinary delight.
peaks Puta, Dhaulagiri, Churi, and Sisni. They reveal themselves in full grandeur. Rivers flowing through the valleys, including the northern Ganga and Niseldhor, together with the backdrop of Dhor Patan, enchant every traveller. The meadows of Chauri Kharka bloom with colourful flowers. Among them, cows, sheep and horses graze peacefully, creating a scene that feels almost dreamlike. Travelers walk along narrow trails, disappearing and reappearing through the mist, immersed in the enchantment of the landscape.
हाम्रो वरिपरिको यो डाँडाहरू भ्यू भनेको उसु भने वाइल्ड फ्लावर्सले सबैले एकदम रिफ्रेश त्यही नै भन्ने होला आउन पनि वर्थ इटै छ.
The weary faces of trekkers brighten as they take in these views, and you can clearly see joy and wonder. Melts away into the beauty of nature. Eastern Rukum is blessed with a wealth of natural treasures, mountains, rivers, lakes, caves, and valuable. In recent years, Chauri Kharka has become an increasingly popular destination for domestic travelers, drawing visitors eager to witness its natural magnificence.
Welcome to NTV World Insight. In September this year, the country faced its worst unrest in decades, leading to Prime Minister's resignation and raising serious political and economic uncertainty. Nepal's growth has averaged just 4.3% in recent years. Youth unemployment is almost 23%, and a significant portion of GDP comes from remittances, which have prevented around 2.5 million people from falling into poverty. Public investment remains weak, with capital spending at less than 8% of the GDP last year, far below the 10 to 15% that is expected for infrastructure. A recent report by the World Bank has projected economic growth will go down to 2.1% in 2026 before rebounding to 4.7% the year later. Today we discuss how Nepal can restore stability, accelerate reforms and unlock growth with the World Bank Division Director for Nepal, Maldives and Sri Lanka, David Sislin. Welcome to NTV World Insight.
Great to see you again, Sarah.
How long has it been since you came to Nepal, personally or professionally altogether?
It's been just about 18 months so far. It's been the best 18 months of my professional career, and yeah, lots of changes in that 18 months. So very different Nepal today, in many respects, from a political point of view, particularly, than what I encountered when I moved here a year and a half ago.
So we've hosted you quite well.
It's been fantastic, absolutely.
When you are free, what do you like doing here in Nepal?
Look, I am an avid golfer, so I spend a lot of time at Gokarna, hitting golf balls and cursing, because it's a very difficult place to play golf. And I ride my motorcycle around a little bit, and mostly I spend a lot of time reading about Nepal, its history, its politics, and learning as much as I can about this incredible place.
Apart from golf, is there any other place that you really like to hit to?
You know, I would say that since I'm here without my family and I'm here alone, many of the bartenders in Kathmandu know me well. So I do spend some time out with my friends, enjoying the incredible nightlife in the city.
All right, to begin with, the country partnership framework, the $2.7 billion support project for Nepal. How is it going so far?
Oh, thanks. That's a great question. Look, the World Bank has a long-term partnership with Nepal. We've been here for more than 60 years. We currently have a portfolio, a program of about $2.2 billion spread across almost 20 projects, ranging from health to education to infrastructure to youth employment. And that has really, I think, reflects the deep engagement that we have in the country. Our new program that, as we talked about the last time you and I saw each other, is a long-term commitment, a 7-year commitment to the country. Is really exciting, mostly because it focuses laser-like on what we think is the most critical issue for the country, and that is jobs. Jobs for youth, but jobs more broadly. Getting an economy that is really driving growth through the private sector and creating jobs is so central to the development challenges of Nepal, and I think we learned a lot about that in September, right? How just truly critical it is. In this coming year, I'll just say that we are really excited because we have a couple of operations that we really think will help jumpstart the jobs agenda. So working with the DCGF, the Development Credit Guarantee Facility, a major investment program in Lumbini, the birthplace of Buddha, and some really exciting work that we hope to start in the coming months around improving air quality in the Kathmandu Valley. So really exciting times, lots of work ahead.
Nepal's public debt, as mentioned in your latest report, is increasing from 43.6% in 2025 to 45.2% in 2026. May I ask how much Nepal currently owes the World Bank, and as a Nepali citizen, how much do I, as an individual, owe to the World Bank?
Let me try to put it in a little bit of context, though. I think we're at a time where Nepalis are very critical of the public sector and very critical of the government. But I think one of the things that Nepal and Nepalis should be incredibly proud of is the steady, mature, and really world-class macroeconomic management that has taken place over the last decade. Nepal remains at low risk of debt distress. This means that compared to other countries, compared to comparator countries, it is actually doing very well in terms of not borrowing too much money. That increase that you said, a little bit up, is something to be conscious of and to be focused on. But the biggest challenge in Nepal is not the amount of debt, but turning that debt into productive investment, making sure that when you are borrowing from the World Bank or the ADB or the markets or Nepalis themselves, that you are really able to make investments that deliver returns. Now, Nepal, yes, the overall amount of debt that the Republic of Nepal has increased a little bit, but the profile of that debt is very concessional. It's extremely long-term, and the bulk of it, especially the bulk of the international debt, is coming from multilateral development institutions like the World Bank and the ADB. So that's extremely long-term, 30-plus year debt at very, very concessional rates. So there's good debt and there's bad debt, but the most important thing, as I mentioned, is turning that debt, turning that borrowing into development results. And I think that a lot of what we saw in September is frustration, especially among the youth, about not seeing those investments materialize and turn into the kind of results that drive growth and development.
How has it been for you working with the bureaucracy and the government? Is it easy?
Not a question I was expecting from you, Sarah, but thanks for asking. Look, I am amazed every day at the dedication, hard work, and commitment of the civil servants and people in the system, both the politicians and the civil servants. And I say that honestly. Now, I feel sometimes that they're fighting against a system that is overly complex, that is overly difficult to manage. So one of the, I just give an example. It is so difficult to get infrastructure built in Nepal. It just simply takes so long. And that's not because good people of goodwill in the system are not working really hard, because they are working really hard and trying really hard, but the rules are too complex, they're Byzantine. I give the example because we talk about it a lot, but in Nepal, to get a tree cutting clearance, if you want to widen a road or build a piece of critical infrastructure, requires a cabinet approval. There are few countries, I would suspect there is no country in the world where the prime minister needs to weigh in on the cutting of a few trees so that you can widen a critical piece of infrastructure. So I really think that part of the challenge for Nepal is making the kind of policy, legal, institutional, and regulatory reforms that will actually allow those people in the system to deliver the kind of development results that Nepalis are asking for.
When you talk about the tree cutting requirement, conservationists would not accept it, or they would conflict.
Look, there's been Nepal is one of the most successful countries in increasing its forest cover, right? The increase in forest cover from the 1970s to today, I forget what the numbers, but has been world-class. We're now at a time where actually Nepal's biggest challenge is not in increasing its forest cover, but in doing two things: converting that incredible assets of forests into productive use, and second, making the kind of infrastructure investments that will allow growth and development to really take off. You talked about the growth rate of being at 4.3% in your intro. That is simply too low. Nepal needs to get to that 7 and 8% of growth rate if it wants to reach escape velocity, to get out of this lower income and soon to be lower middle income world that it's living in.
The non-performing loan ratio increased from 3.9% to 4.6% in 2025. What immediate steps would you suggest Nepal should take to reduce the financial sector's vulnerabilities?
Right, so great question, and this is really about the domestic financial sector, the domestic banks. I think it's important to put in, so yes, we've seen a little bit of an uptick in non-performing loans, and this is troubling. But we do need to put in the context. The banking sector in Nepal is quite healthy. Capital adequacy ratios are high and acceptable, and profitability remains solid. But this increase in NPLs and non-performing loans is troubling because it starts to constrain credit growth. And we know that credit growth, lending to private enterprise for making investments and building businesses, is central to the development trajectory in the country. So a little bit troubling. Overall, not a worrying situation in the banking sector right now, but I think it underpins the broader challenge in the country, which is that we don't see investment either by the public sector or by the private sector, and here we're talking about the private sector largely, as being enough and fast enough. So making sure that, that remittance money that's coming in is really being translated into investment and not just consumption. Investment levered by banking loans and not just consumption.
These are all very interconnected. Remittances support our economy, yes.
Absolutely.
But we're trying to also raise jobs. How do we come about, changing the scenario for Nepal? Because definitely, if we continue to be dependent on remittances, it's not going to be sustainable.
Well, you've touched on what I really think, Sarah, is the central story in the Nepali economy. Okay, and it's nuanced. It has good and bad. It's not black or white. Let's be very clear. Nepal has reduced extreme poverty faster than almost any country in human history. So when I started my career in the World Bank, extreme poverty in Nepal was 55%. And today it is 0.37%. It's almost zero extreme poverty. That's at a low level. And that has happened almost exclusively because of this remittance flow. Last month, 200 billion rupee, about 1.5 billion US dollars, came in remittances, right? This is $2 million US dollars per hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for a month. I mean, a remarkable story. But it hasn't translated into investments, private sector growth, and job creation that we really wanted to see. It's not a bad thing, remittances. It has been the lifeline of the country. It has been the backbone of the country's growth and development story. But as this country becomes more urbanized, as people are having less babies, as that demographic bulge starts to pivot, it will be really important to translate or translate into a situation where jobs are created in the country. We have 2,000 young Nepalis a day leaving the country to work abroad. So you asked me about my time here in Nepal. So I've been here for 18 months, and you can do the math. If 2,000 Nepalis a day are leaving the country, in the short 18 months that I've lived in Budanilkanta, almost 800,000 Nepalis have left the country to work abroad. So this is something that has been the lifeline of the country and will continue to be very important, but we really need to complement it with opportunities in Nepal. We need to give young Nepalis the choice. Do you want to go work abroad, or do you want to pursue a career with good opportunities here in the country? So I really think this is the central challenge of the economy.
When we talk about the use of remittances, the contribution and the importance that it holds, where do you think is the gap in actually using it in sectors that could materialize into something bigger?
Great. It's a great question. I don't have the answer. What is clear is that massive remittance flow that we talked about, and again, remittances are about 50 times the amount of ODA, of money that comes from the World Bank and the ADB and development partners. So it's 50 times more money every year is coming in remittances, but right now it's mostly being used for consumption. And that's been fantastic. It's paying for private schools, it's paying for private health care, it is paying for your cousin's scooter or your mother's scooter or a television or putting food on the table. But what we're not seeing it translate into is Nepalis whose son, daughter, cousin, mother is abroad taking that money and making productive investments. Because I think there's such concern about the difficulty in running a business in the country. The business environment is not what it should be. That is so challenging. So turning that remittance flow into both productive private investment and also making sure that the government can make use of those resources to make productive public investment is the investment challenge.
Growth is projected to fall to 2.1% in 2026 before recovering to 4.7% in 2027. What do you think can be done to cushion in the short run this downturn?
Right. So we are regrettably projecting a quite significant downturn in growth, largely as a result of the events of September. And the main channel of that has been through the tourism sector. Right, we're seeing a significant decrease in tourism. I think it was down 18% in September and into October, and really expecting that if we see a smooth and peaceful political transition, and if we see the continuation of a serious reform agenda to make that business environment that we just talked about more compelling, to attract foreign direct investment, to reduce red tape, to get much more clarity on issues like taxation and customs, that we would see a return to significantly higher level of growth. We're projecting 4.7 in next year, but still that remains too low, right? I mean, we really need to think about how Nepal can get to that 7, 8, 9% growth rate. There are some really exciting green shoots, really exciting things that we're seeing happening, particularly in the IT space. So in the last few weeks, we saw the first Nepali firm listed on the NASDAQ, right? This is incredibly exciting stuff. More of that faster is what Nepal really needs.
Public capital stock fell about 75% of the GDP in the mid-1990s to about 54% in 2019. Is this drop alarmingly concerning for our country?
Look, it's definitely a problem. We know globally that there are really two factors that drive economic growth. The growth in the public capital stock and what we call total factor productivity, or how you turn your factors like capital, like your people, into productive assets. And on both of these fronts, Nepal has some significant challenges, right? The big issues in the education system that we know about, that means that our human capital is not delivering, and a downturn in the investment in capital investment reflected in the budget, and also how much of the government money is actually spent, that has been a real problem. So we've seen the actual execution of the public investment. So when the government budgets 100, the amount that they actually are able to spend over the course of a year has actually come down over time. So not only is the government budgeting less for capital investment, but it's spending less of the money that it's budgeted. And so as a result, fewer roads are getting built, fewer airports are getting upgraded, fewer hospitals and schools, and all of the kind of critical infrastructure that we know makes up that capital stock is actually being delivered for the Nepali people.
Foreign direct investment inflows also remain subdued in recent years. What do you think can Nepal do to attract more investment, especially considering all the political uncertainty and also considering the Gen Z movement?
Yeah, I think the troubling issue with foreign direct investment in Nepal is that the low levels of FDI today are not a reflection of the events of September. It has been a really troubling trajectory of very, very low levels of FDI over time. And this is something, again, we talked a little bit about this. We want to see Nepalis invest in Nepal, but bringing technology and investment from abroad is actually really central to getting that total factor productivity that I talked about raised. And we see very, very low levels of it. And there's a number of reasons for it, right? One is political and policy uncertainty. If I'm a foreign investor and I am not sure if the government is going to change in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or multiple times over the next year, I'm going to be hesitant to invest. So political stability and policy stability is really critical. Clarity on issues like taxes is really critical. Honoring the trade agreements that the country has is really critical. So giving the policy environment that people are willing to make the investments in, willing to take my money from abroad and put into Nepal, is absolutely central. The poor quality of the infrastructure in the country remains a major drag on things like foreign direct investment. I give you an example. 28% of agricultural production is lost in transit inside Nepal just because of the poor quality of infrastructure, the lack of storage, etc. So if I'm a foreign investor thinking about making a major agribusiness investment, am I going to choose Nepal, where the roads, the bridges, the airports, the quality of infrastructure is so poor, or am I going to think about somewhere else where my money is safer because of the lack of capital stock? So really, many of the questions that you've asked really have this thread that ties through them. Right?
So this is recent. Sometime back, the World Bank, through IDA, ADB and Switzerland launched a 3-year partnership to strengthen Nepal's disaster risk management and build climate-resilient infrastructure. How will this partnership move forward, and who will it benefit?
Super excited about it because the our collaboration with the ADB particularly is a centerpiece of our engagement here. I think that's something that is very important. We really try to work as one team to support the government of Nepal in its development journey. And we've been really fortunate to be able to partner with the government of Switzerland, who's been providing a significant amount of grant resources around this issue of climate change, climate adaptation, being able to deal with disaster risk in a more sustainable and thoughtful way. So Nepal is one of the countries that is most exposed to disaster risk, both from earthquakes but also from things like flooding. And so being able to partner with Switzerland and ADB in embedding thoughtful disaster risk management approaches in all of the infrastructure, both that we finance but that the government supports, is very important. We talked earlier about the CPF. Our CPF has two and only two foci. One is jobs that we talked about, and the second is reducing the risks from natural disasters. So these are really two pillars of our engagement here at the World Bank in Nepal.
The World Bank has approved $150 million for the Third Bridges Improvement and Maintenance Program. The goal, as mentioned, is to build climate-resilient bridges with real-time monitoring to make critical road networks safer and more reliable, especially in disaster-prone areas. How is the project rolling so far?
Just started, but I think the story on bridges is a great one. Again, I think too much we focus on all the problems. We really need to focus on the fact that from 2012 to 2024, the World Bank supported the maintenance and construction of over 44,000 bridges throughout the country. So this new bridge program builds on 12 years of real success on doing that. I think what's exciting about this one is that we really are bringing these issues around disaster risk management and resilience much more centrally into how we think about how the government plans, builds, and maintains its infrastructure.
David, thank you so much for being on NTV World Insight.
Thanks so much.
And thank you too for watching the show. Do join us on our social media pages. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and also on YouTube. And also visit our official website, nepaltelevision.com, for more news and information. Until next time.
कसैले पनि अब व्हीलचेयरमै चाहिँ बन्जी गर्नुभएको छैन
अहिले चाहिँ आई एम भेरी एक्साइटेड
रमाइलो
यस 2 1 बन्जी
डिफ्रेन्ट आइडियाहरू हुन्छ हाम्रो जस्तै अब खुट्टामा लाएर नर्मल जम्प गर्नुपर्ने उहाँले चाहिँ हामी बडीमा मात्रै लाएर जम्प गराउँछौँ
लेट्स गो
This is the story of Dilip Sapkota and Sisir Dahal, two wheelchair daredevils who challenged their physical limitations by jumping nearly 200 meters. They weren't just attempting a bungee jump, they were making history by attempting a bungee jump in their wheelchair. The location was the famous The Last Resort, offering adventurous thrill over Bhotekosi River in Sindhupalchok district of central Nepal. From the launch pad, a suspension bridge over the river, a free fall 160 meters down the gorge. This bridge had been the launch pad for the courageous and adventure seekers for years. But on this day, the jump was not just about adrenaline rush, but also about defiance, about breaking the barriers. Dilip, a fierce advocate for inclusive tourism, has spent years pushing boundaries, paragliding, ziplining, even bungee jumping without a chair.
म अपङ्गता भइसके पछाडी म आफूलाई कसरी रिफ्रेश बनाउने त म आफै चाहिँ कसरी ह्याप्पी हुन्छु भनेर आफैलाई बुझ्दाखेरि चाहिँ मैले घुम्दा ट्राभलहरू गर्दा एडभेन्चरहरू गर्दा अझ म बढी आफै खुसी भएको पाएँ। अनि त्यस पछाडी चाहिँ मलाई मैले प्याराग्लाइडिङहरू गरेँ। प्याराग्लाइडिङहरू गरिसके पछाडी बन्जी पनि गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने लाग्यो अनि मैले बन्जी गरेँ। बन्जी गरेपछि होइन अब यो बन्जीलाई पनि एकचोटि व्हीलचेयरमा पनि बन्जी गर्नुपर्छ हैन। नेपालमा म चाहिँ अपङ्गता भएका साथीहरूले चाहिँ एडभेन्चरकोमा चाहिँ अलिक पछाडी देखिने, उहाँहरू खासै त्यति धेरै एडभेन्चरहरू गर्नलाई त्यस्तो खेलहरू खेल्नलाई डराउने, यस्तो हुन्छ उस्तो हुन्छ भन्ने उहाँहरूको चाहिँ मेन्टालिटी पनि थियो र त्यो मेन्टालिटीलाई पनि चिर्नुपर्छ। मैले यो सकिन्छ, हामीले पनि खेल्न सक्छौँ, गर्न सक्छौँ र एउटा चाहिँ समावेशी पर्यटनलाई पनि यो एउटा वकालत पनि हुन्छ। नेपाल सरकार लगायत सम्बन्धित निकायलाई यो वकालतको पनि एडभोकेसी पनि गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने उद्देश्य राखेर मैले चाहिँ बन्जी गरेको।
Sisir, an agricultural entrepreneur living with spinal paralysis, has turned his challenges into advocacy.
म honestly भन्नुपर्दा यो चाहिँ पुरै अनप्लान्ड नै हो हैन। जति पनि मेरो लाइफमा म जति पनि एडभेन्चर अथवा गर्छु हैन, त्यति धेरै प्लान गरेर चाहिँ गर्दिम भनेपछि गर्दिम भन्ने टाइपले चाहिँ यसको लागि चाहिँ म विशेष धन्यवाद हाम्रो दिलीप सरलाई म दिन चाहन्छु है। उहाँले मलाई थाहा नै नदिकन ल आज जाम भनेर भन्नुभयो। मैले आज भोलि हामी बन्जी जम्प गर्दैछौँ भनेर हिजो दोलालघाट आइपुगेपछि, हामी काठमाडौँबाट हिँडेको मान्छे दोलालघाट आइपुगेपछि थाहा पाएको। सो अब गरौँ न त, आइसक्यो भनेर चाहिँ हैन एउटा अनुभव पनि हुन्छ लाइफमा। हामी जस्तो अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्तिले पनि गर्न सकिन्छ है भन्ने टाइपले हैन। अनि त्यहाँबाट अरूलाई मोटिभेट गर्नलाई साथसाथै अब आफ्नो पनि एउटा रिफ्रेसमेन्टको लागि चाहिँ अब आज हामी बन्जी जम्प गर्न जाँदैछौँ।
Together, the goal was clear: to inspire thousands and redefine what people with disabilities can achieve. A wheelchair bungee jump was no ordinary feat. It demanded innovation, precision, and absolute commitment. The team designed a secure rigging system, checked every bolt and knot, ensuring the wheelchairs and harnesses could withstand the extreme forces.
सेटा बाबु खासै त्यस्तो डिफरेन्ट त होइन। उहाँहरूको अब स्पेसल अलिकति समस्या भएर त्यो अनुसारको सेफ तरिकाले गर्ने अर्को डिफरेन्ट आइडियाहरू हुन्छ हाम्रो। जस्तै अब खुट्टामा लगाएर नर्मली जम्प गर्नुपर्ने, उहाँहरूले चाहिँ हामी बडीमा मात्रै लगाएर जम्प गराउँछौँ। सो खुट्टामा चाहिँ केही पनि प्रेसर पर्दैन, ढाडमा पनि कम प्रेसर पर्छ। सो त्यसरी गर्दा चाहिँ उहाँलाई एकदम कम्फर्टेबल हुन्छ। अनि प्लस अब उहाँले अब तल गएर तान्नुपर्ने हुक गर्नुपर्ने कुराहरू हुन्छ। सकेसम्म उहाँहरूले ट्राई गर्नु भएन भने हामी एकजना रेस्क्यु स्ट्यान्ड बाई हुन्छ। अनि त्यसको लागि चाहिँ हामी अलिक बढी प्रिपेयर गरेर गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। अब सेफ्टीको हिसाबले अलिकति डिफ्रेन्ट तरिका चाहिँ अपनाउनु पर्यो हामीले।
This was not a stunt. It was proof that adventure can be made accessible.
34 अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय अपङ्गता दिवस हो। सो यो अपङ्गता दिवसकै दिनमा चाहिँ केही एउटा चाहिँ एडभेन्चर गरौँ हैन। अब कसैले पनि अब व्हीलचेयरमै चाहिँ बन्जी गर्नुभएको छैन, त्यसको लागि पनि एउटा चाहिँ पहिलोचोटि गर्दै हेर अरू साथीहरूलाई पनि एउटा चाहिँ इन्करेज गरौँ भन्ने चाहना हो खास।
At the edge of the platform, silence fell. Dilip rolled forward first. The count began.
Happy International Disability Day, all of you.
A symbol of confinement transformed into a vessel of freedom, probably the first ever wheelchair bungee jump in Nepal.
Promax bungee! खासै अहिले चाहिँ पुरा म नर्मल चाहिँ एकदम चिल भएको छु हैन। अब यहाँ हामफाल्दाखेरि चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ, म हामफालिसकेपछि अनुभव सुनाउँछु। अहिले चाहिँ आई एम भेरी एक्साइटेड। आई एम गोइङ टु डु समथिङ फर माइसेल्फ हैन। आई एम गोइङ टु डु माई फर्स्ट बन्जी अफ माई लाइफ। सो आई एम भेरी एक्साइटेड।
Then came Sisir's turn. With equal determination, he embraced the drop.
Let's go.
His leap cemented the moment, not a solo feat, but a shared victory.
Yes. उहाँले आर यु रेडी भन्नुभयो मैले ठिक छ म रेडी भने मैले आँखा चिम्म गरिदिएँ अनि त्यसपछि ठ्याक्कै उहाँले 1 2 3 जम्प भन्नुभयो उहाँले पुस गरिदिनु भयो मलाई म पुस गरेको आँखा चिम्मको चिम्म तल पुगेपछि ठ्याक्क त्यो डोरीले तान्छ नि तानेर माथि आएपछि त्यो समय चाहिँ मैले यस्तो फिल गरेँ कि म बाँचेँ हैन मसँग अब चाहिँ सबै चिजहरू मसँग फेरि पनि छ र मलाई चाहिँ एकदमै आनन्द त्यो टाइमको त्यो 2 सेकेन्ड 3 सेकेन्डको एउटा चाहिँ ह्याप्पिनेस एउटा त्यो रिफ्रेस एउटा त्यो फिलले चाहिँ एकदमै ह्याप्पी दियो क्या मलाई इनर्जी भित्रदेखि मसँग भइरहेको सिद्धिरहेको एउटा चाहिँ इनर्जीलाई ठ्याक्क दियो त्यो झर्दाखेरिको चाहिँ मेरो माइन्ड पुरै रिसेट भइदियो जस्तो भयो क्या केही पनि छैन म एकदमै एकदम नील मसँग केही पनि छैन रित्तियो सकियो मैले सबै चिज छोडिदिएर म झरिसकेको थिएँ हाम फालिसकेको थिएँ तर पुगेर ठ्याक्क तानेर ल्याउँदाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो एउटा मुभमेन्ट चाहिँ मेरो लाइफको चाहिँ एकदम इन्जोयफुल मुभमेन्ट हो जसले चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ आजको दिनसम्म अझ धेरै उत्प्रेरणाहरू जगाएको एउटा मुभमेन्ट हो त्यो मुभमेन्ट चाहिँ मेरो लागि एकदम मेमोरियल पनि छ
Dilip and Sisir's jump was more than a thrill. It was a loud scream demanding change, a call for accessible tourism.
एक्सेसिबिलिटीकै कुराहरू हुन्छ के हजुरको जस्तो अब मैले पोखरामा प्याराग्लाइडिङ गर्दाखेरि कायाकिङ गर्दाखेरि हैन अप्पर मुस्ताङ चाहिँ हजुरको चाहिँ त्यो अफ रोड गाडीमै जाँदाखेरिको कुराहरुमा चाहिँ अलिकति एक्सेसिबल अलिकति हामीलाई चाहिँ पहुँचयुक्त चाहिँ ठाउँहरु भएदेखि अलिकति सजिलो हुन्थ्यो भनौं न अब यो झोलुङ्गे पुलहरुबाट गरिन्छ हैन त्यहाँ चाहिँ हल्का र्याम्प के जस्तो व्हीलचेयरकै लागि पनि एउटा स्ट्र्याप राख्दाखेरि त काठको एउटा भनौं न त्यो फ्लोरिङ जस्तै टाइपले गर्दै भने त हेल्प गर्ने असिस्ट गर्नेलाई पनि सजिलो हुने अनि हामीलाई पनि सजिलो हुने चाहिँ हुन्छ
वीरताको चिनो इतिहासको निशानी राष्ट्र निर्माणको किल्ला आधुनिक नेपालको निर्माणको लागि पुर्खाहरूले युद्ध लड्न विभिन्न क्षेत्रमा गढी र किल्ला निर्माण गरेका छन् ती किल्लाहरू वर्तमानमा इतिहासका साक्षी हुन् सम्भावित बाह्य आक्रमण रोक्न तथा दुश्मनहरूसँग मुकाबिला गर्न उपयुक्त स्थान रोजेर सैनिक कौशलको प्रयोग गरी गढी तथा किल्लाहरूको निर्माण गरिन्छ नेपालमा रहेका करिब 200 गढीहरूको आआफ्नै विशेषता रहेको छ बढी हात हतियार सहित दुश्मनका फौजहरू पराजित भएको यी महत्वपूर्ण गढीहरू अहिले इतिहासका प्रमाण बनेर बसेका छन् इतिहासका विभिन्न कालखण्डहरूमा राजा महाराजाका शासन हस्तक्षेप आक्रमण प्रत्याक्रमणमा सिन्धुली साक्षी भएर बसेको छ यही साक्षीको प्रमाणिक दस्तावेजहरू र जनश्रुतिहरू नै सिन्धुलीको ऐतिहासिक वैभव हो सिन्धुली जिल्लाको पश्चिमी भेग तथा हालको हरिहरपुर गढी गाउँपालिकामा पर्ने यो गढी 13औं शताब्दीमा निर्माण भएको इतिहास छ मकवानपुर र काभ्रे पलाञ्चोक जिल्लाको सिमाना नजिक रहेको यो गढी राजधानी काठमाडौँको रक्षा कवचको रूपमा लिन सकिन्छ मकवानपुरी सेन राजाको मूल दरबार मकवानपुरमा थियो भने सहायक दरबार अर्थात् किल्लाको रूपमा हरिहरपुर गढीलाई लिने गरिन्थ्यो। 2200 राजाको भाषामा ती दुवै कोटहरू हुन् जहाँ मकवानपुरे राजा बेला बेलामा गएर बस्दै गर्दथे।
सेन राजाको वैकल्पिक दरबार कोट हरिहरपुर गढी, हरिहरपुर कोट हो त्यो। हामी गढी भनिरहेका छौँ। यो पछि हामी राजाको अस्थायी मुकाम हुनलाई जहाँ राजा गएर अस्थायी रूपमा बस्छन् र यदि मेन राजधानी मकवानपुरमा राजदरबारमा कसैले हमला गर्यो केही गर्यो भने वैकल्पिक कहीँ त गएर बस्नु पर्यो, फेरि लड्नु पर्यो भनेपछि यस्तो स्थितिमा राजाहरूले ठाउँ ठाउँमा कोटहरू बनाउँछन्। सेन राजाहरूको पनि आफ्नो राज्यभित्र विभिन्न ठाउँ उनीहरूले कोट बनाउँथे जहाँ दरबारमा गएर राजा 4 दिन बस्थे, 4 वर्ष बस्थे, 4 महिना बस्थे भन्दा यो हरिहर इन्द्रसेन राजाले बनाएको यो चाहिँ अर्को एउटा वैकल्पिक मुकाम थियो राजा बस्ने। र पछि नेपाल एकीकरणको युद्धमा पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले 1819 विक्रम सम्वतमा मकवानपुरको दरबारमा हमला गरिसकेपछि अन्तिम राजा पृथ्वीनारायण शाहका जेठान दिग्बन्धन सेन, उनका मन्त्री कनकनीति बानिया यी लगायत उनका श्रीमतीहरू अब गोर्खालीले हमला गर्छ भन्ने कुरा उठाएको थियो। अनि राजाका अब रानीहरू, छोरीहरू, महिला, केटाकेटीलाई पहिला नै हरिहरपुर गढी पठाइसकेको थियो, हरिहरपुर दरबार कोटमा पठाइसकेको थियो।
हरिहरपुर गढी वरिपरि सेना बस्ने ब्यारेक, देवी देवताका साना ठुला मन्दिरहरू र अलि तलतिर बाक्लै बस्तीहरू थिए भन्ने इतिहास सुन्न पाइन्छ। एक थरीको इतिहास अनुसार राजाहरू लोहङ सेन, राघव सेन, हरिहर इन्द्रसेनले यो कोट बनाए उनकै नामबाट हरिहरपुर कोट नाम राखिएको थियो भन्ने समेत सुन्न पाइन्छ। अर्का थरी अनुसार सोही समयमा सिम्रोनगढका राजा हरि सिंह देव थिए। उनले यो गढी निर्माण गर्न लगाएकोले यो गढीको नाम हरिहरपुर गढी रहन गएको भन्ने भनाइरहेको छ। तत्कालीन सिम्रोनगढ राज्यका कला, संस्कृति तथा अन्य भौतिक सम्पन्नताले निकै वैभवशाली भएको पाइन्छ। विक्रम सम्वत 1381 मा सिम्रोनगढका राजा हरि सिंह देव थिए। यी राजा ठाकुर वंशका थिए। विक्रम सम्वत 1381 मा दिल्लीका मुसलमान गयासुद्दीन तुगलकले यस सिम्रोनगढ राज्यमा भीषण आक्रमण गरेको थियो। आक्रमणमा राज्य ध्वस्त बनाइएपछि राजा हरि सिंह देव आफ्नी रानी देवल देवी तथा राजकुमार र विद्वान मन्त्री चण्डेश्वर सहित भागेर नजिकैको पहाडमा लुकेर बसेको र आफ्नो राज्य जोगाउन सफल भएको इतिहास सुन्न पाइन्छ। सिन्धुली जिल्लाको तीनपाटन भन्ने स्थानमा हरिसिंह देवको मृत्यु भएको कुरा इतिहासकारहरू बताउँछन्। इतिहासकार लुजियानो पेटेकले हरिसिंह देवको मृत्यु टीपाट भन्ने स्थानमा पुगेर भएको भनेका छन्। यो टीपाट भन्ने स्थान नै हालको तीनपाटन हो। राजा हरिसिंह देवले सुरक्षित रहन बनाएको भएर यो किल्लालाई हरिसिंहपुर गढीको नामले चिनिन गएको एक थरीको भनाइ रहिआएको छ। राजा हरिसिंह देवले मन्त्री चण्डेश्वरको सल्लाह बमोजिम त्यही स्थानमा सानो किल्ला बनाई रहन थाले। पछि पछि सिम्रोनगढका विद्वानहरू, साधुहरू, कलाकारहरू, कालीगढहरू पनि हरिसिंह देव भएकै ठाउँमा रहन थाल्नाले हरिसिंह देवले स्थापना गरेको त्यो सानो किल्ला एउटा राज्यको रूप लिने अवस्थामा पुग्यो। पछि यो किल्लालाई राजा हरिसिंह देवकै नामबाट हरिहरपुर गढी भनेर चिनिन थालिएको हो। पछि पश्चिम नेपाल तर्फबाट मुकुन्द सेन नाम गरेको योद्धाले ठूलो फौजको नेतृत्व गरेर हरिहरपुर गढी कब्जा गरेका थिए। पछि ती मुकुन्द सेनले आफ्नै नामबाट राजधानी मुकुन्दपुर बनाए शासन सञ्चालन गर्न थाले। तत्कालीन मुकुन्दपुर राज्यको नामबाट नै हालको मकवानपुर नाम रहन गएको हो।
अब यो कसले बनायो भन्ने कुरामा दुईटा कुराहरू छ। एउटा चाहिँ सिम्रोनगढका राजा कर्णाट वंशी राजा हरिहर सिंहदेवले बनाएको हो भन्छन्। अब यो यदि हरिहर सिंहदेवले बनाएको हो भने यसको यो गढीको उमेर चाहिँ चान्चुन 650 वर्ष जति भयो र त्यसो नहुँदाखेरि यो मकवानपुर राज्यका राजा हरिहर सेनले बनाएको हो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ हरिहर सेनले बनाएको गढी चाहिँ बढ्दा चाहिँ त्यो ऊ देखिन्छ, प्रमाणित देखिन्छ। किनभने तपाईँले मकवानपुर गढीको रूप त्यसपछि तपाईँले चाहिँ यो हरिहरपुर गढीको रूप हेर्नुभयो भनेदेखि यो चाहिँ अलमोस्ट एउटै छ। भनेपछि मकवानपुर त हरिहर सेन राजाको हो, हरिहरपुर गढीमा पनि त्यस्तै किसिमको गढी बन्नुको मतलब चाहिँ के छ भने यो एउटै राजाले निर्माण एउटै राजाको पालामा एउटै कालीगढीले बनाएको हो भन्ने कुरो चाहिँ प्रमाणित हुन्छ। त्यस हुनाले हामी चाहिँ हरिहर सेनले बनाएको भन्ने मान्छौँ। हरिहरपुर गढी एकदम कलात्मक छ, किनभने गढीको दुईटा विशेषता हुन्छ, एउटा रम्पार्ट हुन्छ, एउटा मोट भन्छ क्या, दुईटा अङ्ग्रेजी हुन्। रम्पार्ट भनेको चाहिँ गढीबाट माथिबाट शत्रुहरूको गतिविधि हेर्ने रम्पार्ट भयो। अब मोट चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भनेदेखि शत्रुहरूलाई चाहिँ सर्टेन ठाउँभित्र आउन नदिनको लागि चाहिँ खाल्टो खनिन्छ वरिपरि है, त्यो दुई खाले गढी हुन्छ। यो हरिहरपुर गढी चाहिँ तपाईँलाई दुईटै छ, यो रम्पार्ट पनि हो र यो मोट पनि हो। यो चारैतिर पोलिगोनमा धेरैवटा चाहिँ भुजा भएको जस्तो चाहिँ एउटा ठुलो स्पेस छ, त्यो स्पेसको चाहिँ साइडमा चाहिँ मोटहरू भनेको खाडीहरू खनिएको छ र त्यो खाडीमा अहिले तपाईँले हेर्नुभयो भनेदेखि त्यो खाडीमा पानी भरिदिइसकेपछि र त्यो खाडीको बिचको पुल हटाइदिइसकेपछि शत्रुहरू चाहिँ मेन त्यो गर्भगृहमा चाहिँ त्यो मेन चाहिँ ठाउँमा चाहिँ त्यो अलि रणनीतिक हिसाबले महत्त्वपूर्ण ठाउँमा चाहिँ त्यो आउन नसक्ने गरी बनाएको छ।
नेपाल एकीकरणका अभियानमा राजा पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले सिन्धुली गढी सँगसँगै हरिहरपुर गढीमा 300 बढी गोर्खा फौजलाई तैनात गरिएको समेत इतिहास रहिआएको छ। गोर्खाली राजा पृथ्वीनारायण शाहको नेतृत्व र उपस्थितिमा विक्रम सम्वत 1819 पुस 22 गते भएको एकीकरण लडाईँमा यो गढी तत्कालीन गोर्खा राज्यमा एकीकृत भयो। यसै गरी चितवनको परेवा कोट गढीमा पनि नेपाली सेनाको अर्को टोलीले हमला गरी विजय हासिल गरेको थियो। सन् 1767 मा काठमाडौँमा लडाईँ गर्न आएको ब्रिटिस सेनालाई तत्कालीन गोर्खाली सेनाले सिन्धुली गढीमा परास्त गरेर भारत तर्फ फर्काएको थियो। गोर्खाली सेना र ब्रिटिस सेना बीच भएको त्यो लडाईँ गोर्खाली सेनाको विजयको रूपमा स्थापित हुन पुग्यो।
राति चाहिँ यो एक खालको ह्युमिलेसन हो, यो एक खालको चाहिँ यो चाहिँ अपमान गरेको हो, तपाईँलाई दरबारमै दिनुपर्छ, यो सहायक दरबारमा यति पर ल्याएर यो हरिहरपुर गढीमा राख्नुको मतलब चाहिँ तपाईँमाथि अपमान हो भनिसकेपछि पृथ्वीनारायण शाह चाहिँ त्यहीँबाट चाहिँ एकदम चाहिँ उनीहरूको कुरा सुनिसकेपछि त्यहीँबाट रिसाएर निस्किए होइन। निस्किएपछि वास्तवमा उनमा चाहिँ त्यो अब म यो मकवानपुर राज्यलाई पनि मैले कुनै पनि बेला मैले एकीकरणमा म यसलाई चाहिँ म आफ्नै गोर्खाभित्रै म मिसाउँछु भन्ने उनले अठोट गरे। तर त्यतिखेर एउटा चाहिँ भद्र राजा हुनुहुन्थ्यो, उहाँको ससुरा हेमकर्णसेन हुनुहुन्थ्यो होइन। अब हेमकर्णसेन हुँदै त उहाँले केही गर्न सक्नु भएन, तर पछाडि दिग्बन्धन सेन राजा भइसकेपछि विक्रम सम्वत 1819 मा चाहिँ त्यो मकवानपुर राज्य चाहिँ एकीकरण भयो, गोर्खामा एकीकरण भयो। र गोर्खामा पनि एकीकरण हुँदा पनि अहिले तपाईँले जहाँ छायाङ्कन गर्न गइरहनु भएको छ त्यो हरिहरपुर गढीको एकदम ठुलो भूमिका छ। त्यहाँबाट मकवानपुर राज्यबाट भागेर तत्कालीन राजा र भनौँ न दिग्बन्धन सेन र मन्त्री कनकसिंह बानिया चाहिँ भागेर हरिहरपुर गढीमा लुकेर बसेका थिए। त्यो हरिहरपुर गढीमा पनि गोर्खाले राइड गरिसकेको, गोर्खालीहरूले चाहिँ त्यहाँ पनि चाहिँ युद्ध गरिसकेको, उनीहरू भागेर उनीहरू चाहिँ नजिकैको अवध राज्यतिर मीर कासिमसँग चाहिँ सहयोग माग्न जानुभएको थियो त्यतिखेर। भनेपछि नेपाल एकीकरण सन्दर्भमा पनि त्यो अन्तिम पटकको लडाईँ भएको ठाउँ चाहिँ त्यो हाम्रो मकवानपुर राज्यलाई जोड्ने क्रममा चाहिँ अन्तिम पटक भएको ठाउँ पनि हाम्रो हरिहरपुर गढी नै हो।
एकीकरण गर्दै अगाडि बढिरहेको गोर्खाली शक्ति विरुद्ध कान्तिपुरका राजा जयप्रकाश मल्ल विदेशी शक्तिको खोजीमा थिए। उनले बेतियामा रहेका ब्रिटिस काउन्सिलर ग्लाडिङलाई ब्रिटिस ईस्ट इन्डिया कम्पनी सरकारबाट आपतकालीन सहायताको लागि आग्रह गरे। गोर्खाली राजा पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले नेपालको आन्तरिक मामिला भएको र यसमा बाह्य हस्तक्षेप नगर्न चिठी लेखे, तर कम्पनी तर्फको सरकारले पृथ्वीनारायणको आग्रहलाई अस्वीकार गर्दै कप्तान जर्ज किनलकको नेतृत्वमा 2400 सेना तथा सहयोगी समूहका साथ नेपाल आक्रमणको लागि ब्रिटिस ईस्ट इन्डिया कम्पनी सरकारले खटाएको भनाई इतिहासमा भेटिन्छ। किनलक पटनाबाट 17 अगस्त 1967 मा हिँडे, तर जब उनीहरू ढुङ्ग्रे बासबाट सिन्धुली गढीको लागि अघि बढ्दै थिए नेपाली सैन्य टोलीहरूले अगाडि र पछाडि दुवैतिरबाट आकस्मिक आक्रमण गरे। किनलकका थुप्रै सेना मारिन पुगे। पछि 1600 जति घाइते सेना लिएर जनकपुरतिर फर्के र उनले अर्को आक्रमण बागमती नदीको किनार गर्ने योजना बनाए र निशान हरिहरपुर गढीलाई बनाउने निधो गरे। उनका 700 सेना घाइते थिए, तर पनि उनको दोस्रो सैनिक अभियान 20 सेप्टेम्बर सन् 1767 मा हरिहरपुर गढीका लागि सुरु भयो।
अब यो सिन्धुली गढी चाहिँ आजभन्दा 256 वर्ष अगाडि को यो इतिहास हो। यसमा चाहिँ नि इस्ट इन्डिया कम्पनीले चाहिँ नि जयप्रकाश मल्ललाई, काठमाडौँको राजा जयप्रकाश मल्ललाई मद्दतको रूपमा चाहिँ आएको थियो। त्यो बेला चाहिँ पृथ्वीनारायण शाहको चाहिँ युनिफिकेसन क्याम्पेन चलिरहेको थियो। जयप्रकाश मल्ल डराएर इस्ट इन्डिया कम्पनीसँग ट्रुस माग्यो। त्यो बेला यो ठाउँमा लडाइँ लड्दाखेरि चाहिँ नि पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले पठाउनु भएको वंश गुरुङ, वंशराज पाण्डे, श्रीभद्र उपाध्याय त्यति बेलाका कमान्डरहरू थिए। त्यो बेला 500 चान्चुन गोर्खाली फौजले 35 से 4000 इस्ट इन्डिया कम्पनीको फौजले चाहिँ हराएको ठाउँ हो यो। यद्यपि त्यो समयमा इस्ट इन्डिया कम्पनी काठमाडौँ छिरेको भए आज नेपाल रहन्थ्यो रहन्थेन भन्ने कुरामा पनि प्रश्न चिन्ह रहन्छ। त्यसकारण यो गढीको चाहिँ आफ्नो इतिहास छ र त्यो बेलामा वंशराज पाण्डे मेन कमान्डर, उनले यो सबै यो ठाउँमा चाहिँ नि एउटा फल्स फन्ट्रेज बनाएर यहाँ जस्तो जनावरहरूमा गाई गोरु भेडा सबैमा चाहिँ नि यो सिङहरूमा हैन ढुङ्ग्रो बालेर एउटा फल्स फन्ट्रेज बनाएर देखाएको थियो। यद्यपि त्यो बेला तत्कालीन गोर्खाली फौजमा 500 चान्चुन मात्र ट्रुप्स थियो। अब त्यो बेला चाहिँ नि तिनीहरूलाई यही यो पौवागढीबाट आक्रमण गरेर उनीहरूलाई परास्त गरे, हराए। त्यो बेला क्याप्टेन किनलोक चाहिँ नि घाइते भयो, अरिङ्गालले टोकेर भने अरू कप्तानहरू चाहिँ नि अन द स्पटै डेड भएको थियो। अनि त्यसलाई चाहिँ बनारसमा गएर क्याप्टेन किनलोक चाहिँ नि मरे भन्ने छ। उसले पनि आफ्नो क्याप्टेन किनलोकले लेखेको इतिहासहरू पनि, उसले लेखेको इतिहास पनि अब हाम्रै थम्बेलतिर पनि त्यो किताबहरू पनि पढ्न पाइन्छ। भनेपछि यो गढीको धेरै महत्त्व छ र यद्यपि यो गढीमा गोर्खाली सेनाले हारेको भए नेपाल रहन्थेन भन्ने चाहिँ प्रश्न चिन्ह रहेछ। त्यसको महत्त्व छ।
पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले हरिहरपुर गढीको सुरक्षाको लागि रामकृष्ण कुँवरलाई तैनात गरेका थिए। जब किनलक गोर्खाली फौज नभएको बेला हरिहरपुर गढीमा पाइला टेक्न पुगे, त्यतिखेर किनलकले हरिहरपुर गढी किल्ला डाँडाको टुप्पोमा भएको र राम्रा इँटहरूले बनेको पाएका थिए। त्यो गढीको कुना कुनामा ढुङ्गा हाल्नको लागि ठाउँ बनाइएको थियो। गढीको बीचमा ठूलो इँटको दरबार थियो, जसलाई उनले मकवानी राजाले आफू बस्नको लागि बनाएको होला भने अनुमान गरेका थिए। दरबार नजिकै भीमसेनको मन्दिर थियो र छेउमै हस्ती हाडले बनेको खम्बामा विभत्स रूपले सर्पको टाउको कुँदेको देखेका थिए। यति धेरै वास्तुकलाहरूले सुसज्जित हरिहरपुर गढीमा आज भग्नावशेष बाहेक अन्य चीजहरू छैनन्। हरिहरपुर गढीमा गोर्खाली फौज तैनात थिएनन्। रामकृष्ण कुँवरको नेतृत्वको गोर्खाली सेना हरिहरपुर गढी भन्दा उत्तरतिरको डाँडामा रहेका थिए। त्यस डाँडामा कम्पनीका सैनिक पुग्ने प्रयास गरे पनि सफल भएनन्। सिन्धुलीको लडाईँबाट हारेर भागेका अंग्रेज क्याप्टेन किनलकको फौज पुनर्गठन भई बागमतीबाट यो गढी हुँदै काठमाडौँ अर्थात् कान्तिपुरतिर बढ्दै गर्दा यही क्षेत्रमा फेरि पनि नेपाली सेनाले हमला गरी हराएको थियो। अंग्रेज फौजको अगाडिको टोली यो गढी भन्दा करिब 2 किलोमिटर उत्तरसम्म पुगेकोमा नेपाली सेना र त्यहाँका जनताले समेत ती अंग्रेजलाई काटेर भगाएको समेत इतिहासमा उल्लेख भएको पाइन्छ। सोही कारणले सो ठाउँलाई जितपुर नाम राखियो। अंग्रेज विरुद्ध लडाईँ जितेको ठाउँको रूपमा परिचित उक्त स्थानमा विजय स्मारक समेत बनाइएको छ। त्यसपछि किनलक कान्तिपुर अभियानलाई त्याग्न बाध्य भए र उनी फर्किएको भनाई विभिन्न लेखहरूमा समेत भेट्न सकिन्छ।
मकवानपुरको राजा पनि भाग्ने कुरा त आएन, त्यहाँ ठुलो लडाईँ हुन्छ। पृथ्वीनारायण शाह आफ्नै जेठान त्यहाँ हारिसकेपछि दिग्बन्धन सिंह राजा, उनका मन्त्री फेरि र सेना त्यहाँबाट भागेर कहाँ गए त? हरिहरपुर कोटमा गए, जुन हामी गढी भनिरहेछौँ। त्यहाँ 4-5 महिना बसिसकेपछि मात्रै अनि पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले फेरि यताबाट तपाईँको यो धुलीखेलपट्टिबाट यो चाहिँ यो तिमाल कोट तिमाल भन्ने तपाईँले सुन्नु भएको छ? तिमाल कोट तिमाल हामी भकुण्डेबेसीबाट पूर्वतिर लाग्यौँ भने एउटा बाटो जान्छ, त्यसलाई तिमाल कोट पनि भन्छ, कोठिमाल। त्यहाँ ठुलो लडाइँ हुन्छ, त्यहाँ धेरै 1 महिना लडाइँ हुन्छ त्यो जित्नलाई। त्यसपछि सिन्धुली गढीमा लडाइँ हुन्छ हाम्रो 2 चोटि। आज सिन्धुली गढीकोमा जित्छ, 3 दिनपछि फेरि उसको सेनाले फेरि हराउँछ गोर्खाले। पृथ्वीनारायण शाह आफै लड्छन् त्यसपछि आएर 3 दिनपछि आएर त्यो सिन्धुली गढी जिते। त्यसको 2 दिनपछि त्यहाँबाट हरिहरपुर गरेको दरबार पुग्छन् उनी कोटमा। पृथ्वीनारायण शाह आफू अगाडि बसेर हरिहरपुरमा ठुलो लडाइँ हुन्छ र हरिहरपुरको लडाइँमा अब हार्यो, फेरि मकवानपुर सेना हार्यो, राजा भागे, खोडाघाटपट्टि भागे।
किनलक सहितको फौजलाई खाद्यान्न को जिम्मा लिएका जनकपुरका दानदेव चौधरीले समेत गोर्खाली फौजलाई साथ दिएपछि बिरामी परेका किन्लक पटना फर्के र उतै देहत्याग गरेको इतिहास रहिआएको छ। यो हरिहरपुर गढीमा मकवानपुरका युवराजसँग खटपट भएको करिब 23 वर्षपछि सोही स्थानमा नै विशाल मकवानपुर राज्यले गोर्खा फौजसँग हार खायो। यसरी नेपालको एकीकरणको अभियानलाई सिन्धुलीको हरिहरपुर गढी क्षेत्रले ठूलो योगदान गरेको इतिहास अझै जीवित रहेको छ। नेपाल अंग्रेज युद्धको दोस्रो चरणमा मेजर जनरल डेभिड अक्टर लोनीको डिभिजनले हरिहरपुर गढी र मकवानपुर दरबार क्षेत्र दुई ठाउँबाट हमला गर्न अगाडि बढेकोमा यो गढीमा पहिला लडाईँ शुरू भएको थियो। अंग्रेज कर्णेलहरू कर्णेल केली र कर्णेल होलले 16 फेब्रुअरी सन् 1915 मा दुईतिरबाट यो गढीमा हमला गर्दा नेपाली सेनाको हार भयो। यो लडाईँ नेपालीले हार्ना साथ नेपालले सुगौली सन्धि गर्न प्रस्ताव पठायो र 2 डिसेम्बर सन् 1816 मा सुगौली सन्धि भयो। त्यसपछि नेपाल अंग्रेज युद्ध अन्त भएको थियो। नेपाल अंग्रेज युद्धको यो अन्तिम लडाईँ समेत थियो। तोप प्रहारको उद्देश्य राखी तयार पारिएको गढीको मध्यभागमा दरबार रहेको छ। आपतकालीन अवस्थाको लागि पानी सञ्चित गर्न बनाइएको ट्याङ्की समेत प्रष्टै देख्न सकिन्छ।
त्यहाँ चाहिँ ठुल्ठुला ढुङ्गाका चाहिँ शिलाहरू कुदेर हैन, त्यो ढुङ्गा तपाईँ यत्रतत्र तपाईँले पाउनुहुन्न। त्यहाँ चाहिँ हजारको संख्यामा त्यस्ता ढुङ्गाहरू छन्। त्यो ढुङ्गालाई चाहिँ कुदेर मिलाएर एकदम राम्रोसँग पर्खाल बनाएको छ। अत्यन्त प्रोटेक्टिभ वाल त्यहाँको तपाईँले हेर्नुभयो भनेदेखि त्यो चाहिँ एकदम त्यो अहिले पनि मलाई अहिलेको मिलिटरी चान्चुने मिलिटरी आक्रमणबाट पनि त्यो केही हुनेवाला छैन, त्यस्तो किसिमको छ। र खास गरी अब त्यहाँ चाहिँ सिन्धुली गढीमा चाहिँ यो जब इस्ट इन्डिया कम्पनीको सेना हारिसकेपछि क्याप्टेन किनलोकले हरिहरपुर गढीबाट चाहिँ काठमाडौँतिर जान्छु भनेर हरिहरपुर गढीतिर गए। त्यसपछि हाम्रो चाहिँ जङ्गबहादुरको चाहिँ जिजु हजुरबाको पनि हजुरबा चाहिँ रामकृष्ण कुँवरको तैनाथीमा चाहिँ 300-400 गोर्खाली फौजहरू चाहिँ लगेर त्यहाँ एउटा चाहिँ जितपुर भन्ने ठाउँ छ, जितपुरको डाँडामा चाहिँ राखिसकेका थिए। क्याप्टेन किनलोक चाहिँ काठमाडौँ पस्नको लागि हरिहरपुर गढीमा रात बिताए। त्यतिखेर उनी धेरै बिरामी भइसकेका थिए। हरिहरपुर गढीमै फेरि त्यहाँ एउटा शक्ति छ। हरिहरपुर गढीमै पनि त्यो इस्ट इन्डिया कम्पनीका सेनाहरू बिच चाहिँ विद्रोह भयो। आफू बिरामी पनि भयो, यता सेनाको नि विद्रोह भइसकेपछि उनले अनि काठमाडौँ जानको लागि बाटोमा रामकृष्ण कुँवरको नेतृत्वमा गोर्खाली फौज पनि भइसकेपछि उनी हतोत्साही भइसकेपछि त्यहाँबाट उनले चाहिँ के गरे, काठमाडौँ जानलाई चाहिँ उनले चाहिँ त्यहाँबाट छोडे। काठमाडौँ जान सकेनन्, त्यसपछि फर्किएर आए र त्यो फर्किएर आएको हरिहरपुर गढीबाट जब त्यो क्याप्टेन इस्ट इन्डिया कम्पनीको सेना फर्कियो, त्यो फर्किँदा फेरि तर त्यतिखेर ढिलो चाँडो चाहिँ ब्रिटिस इस्ट इन्डिया कम्पनी चाहिँ हारेको कुरो अमेरिकी स्वतन्त्रता सङ्ग्राममा पनि त्यो कुरो चाहिँ रिफ्लेक्ट भयो।
गढी प्रवेशद्वारमा अहिले काठको पुल जस्तो भए पनि गढी सञ्चालनको बेला यसमा फलामको ढोका रहेको थियो। ढोका खुल्दा सोही ढोका नै पुल बनेर आवत जावत गर्न सकिन्थ्यो भने ढोका बन्द हुँदा सो बाटो बन्द हुन्थ्यो र आवत जावत गर्न सकिँदैन थियो। मकवानपुरको राजाको वैकल्पिक गढीको रूपमा चिनिने हरिहरपुर गढी किल्ला संरक्षणमा राज्यले समेत चासो देखाएको छ। हरिहरपुर गढी नेपाल र नेपालीका लागि गौरव र प्रतिष्ठाको धुरी हो। दुश्मनले पाइला टेक्न खोज्दा गोर्खाली सेनाले शिर छेदन गरी विजय प्राप्त गरेको इतिहास अझै जीवित नै छ। रणनीतिक महत्व बोकेका यी गढी अनि ऐतिहासिक सैन्य धरोहरमा त्यतिखेर कोरेर बनाइएका ढुङ्गाहरू मूर्तिहरू देख्न सकिन्छ। पुरातात्विक महत्व बोकेको यो गढीको करिब 80% भाग सुरक्षित रहेको देख्न सकिन्छ।
गढी देख्ने बित्तिकै कुनै पनि मान्छेले नेपालको राजनीति, नेपालको सामाजिक एकीकरणका कुराहरूलाई त्यो आफूलाई त्यति रुचि नराख्ने मान्छे पनि यदि त्यो ठाउँमा गएर त्यो स्ट्रक्चर देख्यो भनेदेखि उसले चाहिँ एकपल्ट आफूलाई रिकल गर्छ। मेरो पुर्खाहरूले बिना सित्तीमा बिना चाहिँ त्यो स्वार्थमा राष्ट्रको लागि यसरी गरेका रहेछन्। राष्ट्रसँग त राज्यसँग त त्यतिखेर पनि चुनौती त रहेछ। त्यो चुनौती चाहिँ कुनै अलौकिक शक्तिले, कुनै विदेशी शक्तिले चाहिँ त्यो सामना गर्दैन। त्यो सामना गर्नुपर्ने चाहिँ त्यही व्यक्ति नै रहेछ, त्यही देशको सब्जेक्ट नै रहेछ, त्यही देशको जनता नै रहेछ भनेपछि मेरो पुर्खाले पनि यति कुरो चाहिँ हाम्रो पुर्खाले पनि यति कुरा यत्रो चाहिँ स्ट्रक्चर बनाउन सक्दा रहेछन् भने हाम्रो योगदान त केही पनि रहन्छ अहिले राष्ट्रको लागि, राष्ट्र निर्माणको लागि भन्ने कुरो चाहिँ उसले त्यो फिलिङ गर्छ। अलिकति त्यहाँ जाने बित्तिकै उसको नेसनलिस्टिक फर्भर भन्छ नि, त्यो खालको चाहिँ उसलाई त्यो आउँछ त्यो अहिले पनि आउँछ।
पाल्पाली राजा मुकुन्द सेनका छोराहरूले राज्य बाँडफाँड गर्दा छोरा लोहङ सेनले नारायणी पूर्वतर्फ राज्य बढाउँदै गएको र पछि त्यही क्षेत्रको राजा भएको इतिहास समेत रहिआएको छ। लोहङ सेनका नाति भनिने हरिहर इन्द्रसेनको नामबाट यो गढी बनाइएको हो भन्ने इतिहास समेत सुन्न पाइन्छ। यो हरिहरपुर गढीबाट राजधानी काठमाडौँ जोड्ने 2वटा बाटो रहेका छन्। काठमाडौँ जोड्ने सबैभन्दा छोटो बाटोको रूपमा यस गढीलाई लिन सकिन्छ। सेन राजाको पालामा यो गढी हुँदै चिसा पानी तर्फ गयो भने काठमाडौँको थानकोटतिर पुगिन्थ्यो भने अर्को बाटो बागमती किनार हुँदै गयो भने काठमाडौँ छोटो दूरीमा पुगिन्थ्यो। भारतबाट कान्तिपुर जोड्ने छोटो बाटोको रूपमा समेत यसलाई लिइन्थ्यो। 1819 सालमा मकवानपुरको राज्यमाथि राजा पृथ्वीनारायण शाहको नेतृत्वको फौजबाट हमला भएको इतिहासमा देख्न सकिन्छ। गोर्खाली फौजहरू हमलाबाट दिग्बन्धन सेनको हार भएको थियो। गढी संरक्षण एवं सम्वर्धनमा हरिहरपुर गढी गाउँपालिकाले पनि ध्यान दिएको पाइन्छ। सोही गढीको नामबाट नामाकरण गरिएको गाउँपालिकाले रणनीतिक इतिहास बोकेको यो किल्ला संरक्षणमा विभिन्न कार्यक्रमहरू सञ्चालन गरेको छ। यो गढीमा गाउँपालिका स्तरीय कार्यक्रम सञ्चालन गर्नुका साथै गढीको भग्नावशेष जोगाउन पूर्वाधार कार्यक्रमहरू समेत राख्दै आइरहेको छ।
यो हरिहरपुर गढी किल्ला जुन छ त्यो 2224 राज्यको पालामा एउटा किल्लाको रूपमा एउटा राजा हरिहर सेन भन्ने राजाले चाहिँ शासन गरेको अवस्था रहेछ र यो किल्लाले पछि अङ्ग्रेजहरूसँग चाहिँ लड्ने क्रममा यो किल्लाले महत्त्वपूर्ण भूमिका खेलेको रहेछ। यो सिन्धुली गढीसँगको लडाइँ पछाडि अङ्ग्रेजको क्याप्टन किल्लकको ग्रुपले फेरि यहाँ आक्रमण गरेको रहेछ। त्यो आक्रमणलाई पनि यहाँबाट विफल बनाएर पठाएको जुन विजय किल्ला भन्ने छ त्यो विजय किल्ला चाहिँ हरिहरपुरको विजय किल्ला चाहिँ हरिहरपुरबाट प्रवेश गरिसकेपछि विजय किल्लाबाट 1 किलोमिटर माथिको चाहिँ महाभारत रेन्जमा पुगिसके पछाडि त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ धपाउन हाम्रो नेपाली सेनाहरू गोर्खाली सेनाहरू सफल भएको। पहिले त हरिहरपुर 2224 राज्य हुँदा एउटा राज्य थियो। पछि चाहिँ एकीकृत भइसके पछाडि पनि अङ्ग्रेजहरूसँग लडाइँ लड्दाखेरि विजय प्राप्त गरेको किल्लाको रूपमा यहाँ चिनारी सुनिन्छ। विशेष गरी किल्ला हो। त्यो किल्ला चाहिँ पुरानो शासकहरूले राम्रो ठाउँमा बनाएको रहेछ। मानिलिउँ भौगोलिक रूपले चाहिँ हामीले मकानपुरलाई तलतिर मधेसको फाँटलाई र मास्तिर हिमाली महाभारतको रेन्ज हिमालको टुप्पो देख्न सकिन्छ। जताततै चारैतिर पूर्व मेचीदेखि पश्चिम महाकाली उत्तर दक्षिण पूर्व पश्चिम सबै क्षेत्रमा हेर्ने एउटा टापुको रूपमा रहेछ। त्यो चाहिँ सुरक्षित स्थान हो जहाँ बैरीहरूले आक्रमण गर्न नसकिने ठाउँ हो। त्यसैले त्यो रमणीय ठाउँ छ। त्यो रमणीय ठाउँलाई हामीले संरक्षण र सम्वर्धन गरिराख्यो भने पर्यटकीय क्षेत्रको लागि धेरै ठुलो कुरा हो। यो हरिहरपुरको गौरवको स्थल हो। त्यो
काठमाडौँबाट हेटौडा पुगेपछि हेटौडा हुँदै मदन भण्डारी पथमा करिब 55 किलोमिटरको यात्रापछि गढी प्रवेश गर्ने सहायक बाटो भेटिन्छ। यस्तै काठमाडौँबाट सिन्धुली गढी पुगेपछि सोही मदन भण्डारी पथबाट करिब 60 किलोमिटरको यात्रापछि गढी जाने बाटोमा पुग्न सकिन्छ। त्यसपछि करिब 8 किलोमिटरको दूरीमा यो हरिहरपुर गढी पर्दछ। महाभारत पर्वत श्रृङ्खला सँगै रहेको यो गढी वरिपरि घना वन जंगलले घेरिएको छ भने दक्षिणपट्टि चुरे क्षेत्र तथा मानव बस्ती लगायत कृषि योग्य फाँटहरू रहेका छन्। हरिहरपुर घुम्ने आन्तरिक तथा बाह्य पर्यटकहरूले हरिहरपुर गढीसँगै हरिहरपुर गढीका सुनौला फाँटहरू समेत निहाल्न सक्नेछन्। यसै गरी धार्मिक तथा ऐतिहासिक स्थलहरूमा लोहा सुर मन्दिर, त्यही मन्दिर छेउमा रहेको प्राकृतिक पोखरीका साथै केही समयको यात्रापछि क्यान खोला तथा क्यान दहको समेत अवलोकन गर्न सकिन्छ। हाम्रा वीर पुर्खाहरूको रगत पसिना र अथक मेहनतबाट आर्जेको यो मुलुकको इतिहासलाई हामीले संरक्षण एवं सम्वर्धन गर्नु आवश्यक छ। यस्ता ऐतिहासिक तथा पुरातात्विक गढीहरूको संरक्षणले नयाँ पुस्तालाई विगतको बारे जानकारी पाउने अवसर दिनुका साथै पर्यटनमा पनि महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निर्वाह गर्दछ। सभ्यताको उषाकालदेखि नै सुविख्यात नेपालीपन जीवन्त साक्षी यस्ता पुरातात्विक धरोहरको संरक्षण गर्दै भावी पुस्तालाई हस्तान्तरण गर्नु हामी सबैको दायित्व हो।
A somber mood has settled over Sydney's eastern suburbs as the first funeral was held for victims of the deadly Bondi Beach Hanukkah attack. Mourners gathered to remember Rabiel Shangler, a respected community leader known locally as the Rabi of Bondi and one of the organizers of the Chanukah by the Sea event. The attack occurred on December 14 when a father and son duo opened fire during celebrations at the iconic beach. 15 people were killed and dozens more injured. Police shot dead the old suspect at the scene, while his son survived and now faces dozens of criminal charges. Australian Federal Police have classified the shooting as a terrorist attack inspired by Islamic State, making it the deadliest mass shooting in the country's history. The tragedy has sent shockwaves through communities nationwide and abroad. For Nepal, the incident has had a particular impact. Australia is home to more than 130,000 Nepali citizens, many living in Sydney. Community leaders say fear and grief remain high, with some urging cautions at public gatherings as investigations continue. US President Donald Trump is set to deliver a nationally televised primetime address from the White House declaring that the country has had a great year and promising that the best is yet to come. The speech, scheduled for 9 p.m. Eastern Time, will outline what the president views as his administration's major accomplishments since returning to office in January. The White House says Trump will focus on economic performance, legislative actions, and national security priorities. According to Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, the president has been personally involved in drafting the remarks and intends to strike an optimistic tone about the nation's future. A major milestone in the global clean energy transition has been reached in northeast China, where the world's largest integrated green hydrogen, ammonia, and methanol project has officially begun operations. The massive complex located in Songyuan City in Jilin province is known as Qing Hydrogen No. 1, a project developed by the China Energy Engineering Group. Officials say the launch marks a decisive step toward large-scale commercial use of green hydrogen, a technology widely viewed as essential for reducing global carbon emissions in heavy industry and long-distance transport. The facility is powered by vast wind and solar installations and is designed to produce 45,000 tons of green hydrogen and 200,000 tons of green ammonia and large volumes of green methanol annually, all without fossil fuels. Experts say the project demonstrates how renewable energy can be stabilized and stored through hydrogen, solving one of the biggest challenges in the clean energy sector. With a total planned investment of nearly $4.3 billion, the project is expected to accelerate China's position as a global leader in hydrogen technology and influence future energy strategies across Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. As countries race to meet climate targets, the successful launch of the world's largest hydrogen chemical integration project signals a new era for clean industrial energy. Analysts say more mega projects of this kind will be essential if the world hopes to achieve net zero emissions in the coming decades. A new wave of aviation disruption is unfolding in northern South America as Panama's major airline suspended flights to Venezuela, citing growing safety concerns in the region's airspace. The move comes amid heightened geopolitical tensions and warnings from U.S. aviation authorities. Two Panamanian carriers, Copa Airlines and its low-cost subsidiary Wingo, have halted all flights to and from Caracas from pilots of intermittent interruptions in navigation signals during approaches to Venezuelan airports. The airlines say the suspension is a precautionary measure with further updates expected after internal safety evaluations. The sudden cancellations have stand out travelers across the region and disrupted commercial links between Panama City and Caracas. Historically, one of the busiest aviation corridors in Latin America, analysts warned that prolonged suspensions could deepen Venezuela's economic isolation and complicate regional mobility, with aviation safety concerns unresolved and geopolitical tensions still rising. There are no clear timeline for when Panama-Venezuela flights will fully resume. Authorities in Panama say they will restore routes only when airspace conditions are verified as safe and international standards are met. South Korea's judiciary is preparing for a pivotal moment in the country's ongoing political and legal turmoil. A Seoul court has confirmed that it will deliver a first-instance verdict on January 16 in the case accusing former President Yoon Suk-yeol for obstructing the execution of an arrest warrant during the nation's unprecedented martial law crisis. The ruling will mark the first verdict among multiple indictments Yoon faces, including charges linked to an alleged insurrection attempt and interference in cabinet deliberations during the December 3 emergency martial law declaration. Yoon had asked the court to postpone the arrest obstruction ruling until after the verdict in his separate insurrection case. Judges rejected the request, citing the Special Counsel Act, which requires a first instance ruling within 6 months of indictment. Presiding Judge Baek Dae-hoon emphasized that the court is legally bound to issue the verdict by mid-January, setting the date firmly for January 16. The former president is accused of blocking investigators from the Corruption Investigation Office as they attempted to execute an arrest warrant, a move prosecutors say obstructed justice during a critical phase of the martial law investigation. The case is part of a border special counsel probe into Yoon's role in the short-lived martial law declaration, which prosecutors argue violated constitutional processes and cabinet authority. If convicted, Yoon could face significant legal consequences and further political fallout as additional verdicts in his related cases are expected later in the year. South Korea's political landscape remains tense as the nation awaits the January 16 ruling, a decision that could shape the country's governance and accountability standards for years to come. A powerful winter storm has intensified the humanitarian emergency in the Gaza Strip, where more than 1 million displaced Palestinians are struggling to survive in makeshift tents amid an ongoing blockade on essential aid. Heavy rains, freezing temperatures, and restricted access to shelter materials have combined to create life-threatening conditions across the enclave. Torrential rains and gale-force winds have battered Gaza for days, flooding tent camps and destroying fragile shelters that house families displaced by months of conflict. Entire neighborhoods of temporary tents have been submerged, with residents wading through knee-deep water to salvage what little they have left. Civil defense officials warn that thousands of partially destroyed buildings are now at risk of collapse due to the storm's impact, further endangering civilians seeking refuge inside damaged structures. The crisis has been compounded by severe restrictions on humanitarian aid entering the territory. According to the United Nations, essential relief supplies, including winter clothing, tents, and construction materials, are being delayed or blocked, while commercial goods are being prioritized at border crossings. Aid agencies warn that needs are rising far faster than assistance can be delivered under current conditions. Local authorities and humanitarian organizations say the blockade is effectively weaponizing winter, leaving displaced families exposed to the elements without the materials needed to reinforce or rebuild their shelters. As winter storms intensify and the aid blockade persists, Gaza's displaced population faces a deepening catastrophe, one driven not only by weather but by the ongoing restrictions that prevent life-saving assistance from reaching those who need it most. A major step toward wartime accountability has been taken in The Hague, where 35 countries and the European Union have signed a new convention establishing an international claims commission for Ukraine. The body will process compensation claims for damage caused by Russia's full-scale invasion. Leaders and senior officials from more than 50 nations gathered under the Council of Europe framework to formally launch the commission. Ukrainian President Zelensky called the move a mechanism that should have been in place long ago, saying Ukraine has waited since 2014 for a structured path to compensation. The Commission becomes the second pillar of a broader international compensation mechanism, building on the existing register of damage for Ukraine already established by the Council of Europe. The convention received what officials described as unprecedented support with 35 signatories, a record number for a newly launched compensation mechanism under the Council of Europe. The Commission will be headquartered in The Hague and remains open for additional countries to join. The International Claims Commission is expected to begin receiving cases once operational procedures are finalized. European leaders say the goal is clear: to ensure that Russia ultimately pays for the damage caused by its war and to set a global precedent that aggression carries enforceable financial consequences.
Intermittent once in your life.
Dai Lake in Karnali province is a geographically remote district, yet rich with untapped potential for tourism. Stepping into Dai Lake, celebrated as a treasure trove of Khas art, culture and heritage, brings a unique sense of joy. Journey begins amid its natural beauty, leading us toward Mahabu Rural Municipality. As we leave the mid-hill highway, the terrain becomes challenging, with hilly, muddy roads demanding patience and skill. Long lines of vehicles crawl carefully along the cliffs, reflecting both the difficulty of the route and the enduring devotion of Mahabu Dham. Many travelers choose to continue on foot, advancing step by step toward their destination. Passing through Channa, Dasarathi, Okharbans, Bhavsaini, Noli and Unipata, pilgrims ascend the slopes toward Lisne before finally reaching Mahabu Patan. Pilgrims from Dai Lake and nearby districts often arrive late at night, having begun their journey the previous day. The path to Mahabu Dham is thrilling, adventurous and breathtaking, made even more dramatic by the steady rain, drifting fog and steep inclines. Yet the journey itself feels uniquely rewarding. Mahabu Lake or Mahabu Dham, located within Mahabu Rural Municipality, is a remarkable place of natural beauty, religious significance and cultural heritage. Situated at an altitude of 4,200 meters, the area is adorned with emerald lakes, grazing flocks of sheep and goats, and a sky that dances with Himalayan mist. Every year, during Janai Purnima, a grand fair is held here, drawing thousands of devotees from across the region. Mahabu Dham's spiritual importance is deeply rooted in the ancient worship of Lord Shiva, revered here as the origin site. From Mahabu Lake, visitors can enjoy magnificent views of Api and Saipal Himal, and on clear days, even the plains of Bardia. Given its religious importance and natural splendor, Mahabu Dham holds immense potential as a religious tourism destination. Improving the rough, narrow access roads is essential for supporting this growth. Mahabu Dham is more than a pilgrimage site. It is a confluence of culture, history, faith, and nature. To truly appreciate its significance, one must visit Mahabu Lake at least once, immerse oneself in its natural beauty, and experience the serene environment that leaves a lasting impression.
After around 7 hours drive from federal capital Kathmandu comes Dhunche Bazar, the district headquarters of Rashwa. Further ahead from Dhunche, demographically and ethnic mix, we reach Kerung custom point along Nepal-China border. However, we are headed to another destination. We are going to Gosai Khunda, a beautiful pilgrimage situated 4,380 meters above the sea level, and a perfect mix of adventure and spiritualism. Our trek begins from this very place. With excitement and energy alike, our journey to Gosaikunda starts from Dhonche Bazar. This is a famous religious tourism site, especially twice a year on Janai Purnima and Ganga Dasara fair in Chester. Thousands of devotees throng this holy place. The first 1 hour of the trek up to Ghatte Khola is largely straight. This is where pilgrims take a tea break and some rest to prepare themselves for the uphill walk. There's a mini Gosaikunda here as well. Uphill walk through the pine forest and natural diversity continues as we approach few lodges on the way. After nearly about 2 hours of trek, we reach Deurali. Another resting place for pilgrims and trekkers. Sip of tea in this freezing weather is a luxury these small hotels offer. This is also a well-known viewpoint to see the southern districts. The tharpus or shelters built and preserved by the Gosaikunda Area Development Committee are found almost everywhere on the way. With more excitement than fatigue, the journey continues from Deurali. It's still a long way, and it's difficult to reach our destination today itself. Fatigue is visible on the faces of these travelers. In an hour or so, we reach Dingsa. This is a junction of Gosaikunda with another route mixing here. Tharpus and light snacks are available here as well. The trail, though uphill, is not very difficult. The natural beauty of the area, mild weather, and many travelers make the arduous journey much easier. Chandanbari is the next place after about an hour's walk. This is a small but beautiful hamlet for tourists. Cozy but clean and hygienic hotels are found here. Many tourists travel up to Chandanbari even at times other than the two famous religious fairs take place. The oldest yak cheese production factory of Dairy Development Corporation is here. Even the trekkers take a test of the famous yak cheese produced in Chandanbari. The yak herds also make the environment exciting. Many travelers who cannot bear the fatigue anymore take overnight stop here and head to Gosaikunda the next morning. The place is also known as Singh Monastery, named after the ancient monument itself. The uphill trek continues from Chandanbari for another 2 hours up to Cholangpati. This place, renowned for yak farming and traders, is another stop on the way. Though few tourists are also seen here, yak farmers often gather in monsoon season here. The typical Himalayan lifestyle, cylindrical pine trees and the cold weather greet the travelers. Many temporary structures are set up by local administration, Nepal Army, police among others, along the way during the annual Gosaikunda Fair to provide free health care and first aid services to travelers. After another 2 hours walk, we reach the Lodi Bina area. Those who can walk faster take overnight stop at this place that has plenty of hotels. This is the perfect place to enjoy nature and its beauty. The view of mountain peaks including Ganesh, Manasalu, Langtang and some across the border in China and Dhunche Bazaar is a treat to the eyes. The idol of Lord Buddha greets trekkers at this place. The trail also gets a bit less difficult with almost no more uphill walk. Legend has it that the place got its name Lauribina, meaning free of walking sticks, as travelers discard their walking stick at the end of the uphill climb here. The same walking stick is again brought back while returning from the pilgrimage. Another 2 hours facile walk takes us to Ganesh Gaura. From where the revered Vairav and Saraswati Kunda or lakes become visible. The very sight of the holy water of the ponds rejuvenates every traveler. One of the specialities of Ganesh Kunda is the idol of Lord Ganesh and the tailless mice or the moles known as the ride of Lord Ganesh are seen roaming freely. Gosai Kunda is just 15 minutes walk from this place. The pond, measuring 4 square kilometers in width and 19.2 meters in depth, is the common holy site for both Hindus and Buddhists. Devotees offer prayers at the temple after taking a holy dip in the freezing water of the pond. Twice a year during Janai Purnima and Dasarma fairs, Hindu and Buddhist devotees throng the holy site. The pond is the origin of the mighty Trisuli River. A little further is the Trishul Dhara, or a fountain with its own anecdote. Legend has it that Lord Shiva, after drinking the Kalkut poison, held it in his neck. After holding the poison in his neck, Lord Shiva started roaming around in immense pain and thirst. The fountain was formed here when Lord Shiva struck his trident to quench his thirst. The fountain is the source of water for the ponds here. Lord Shiva is believed to have laid flat on the ground here after drinking the water. As per the legend, this happened on the day of Janai Purnima. Thus comes the popular belief that Lord Shiva still visits this place on the day of Janai Purnima along with other deities. The river Trishuli also got its name as it originated from the place where the Lord had struck with his Trisul, or the trident. Devotees throng this place during Janai Purnima. The atmosphere is lightened by various pageantries, including cultural shows during the fair. A few hotels can be found here for those who want to make an overnight stop. However, many try to avoid staying here due to fears of altitude sickness. Nevertheless, medical camps are adequately set up for emergencies during the fair. Special paid horse ride service is also available for those who can't walk. There are 3 different routes to reach Gosaikunda. One is the Kathmandu Chisapani Ghopte Suryakunda route. Another route is via Rasua's Langtang Tulu Safru Gosaikunda. And of course, the route via Dhunchi of Rasua, which we traveled, is probably the shortest and the easiest of them all. This route is 3 to 4 days walk from Dhunchi, depending on the individual's speed. Travelers can choose 2 different routes to and fro Gosaikunda to spice up their adventure. The revered Gosaikunda, at 4,380 meters above the sea level in Gosaikunda rural municipality of Rasua district and inside Langtang National Park, is a must-go destination for any avid traveler. Ask anyone who has been there. It is indeed a lifetime experience.
हेलो
हेलो हजुर
यो मिटिङ नै गर्न पर्ने देखियो अब एक दिन लाग्छ हिँडेर पठाउन नसकिने अवस्था हो
अब सरको नम्बर टेक्स्ट गरिदिनु
हजुर हजुर
म उहाँसँग कुरा गर्छु है एउटा केस आएको छ एकदम इमर्जेन्सी सुत्केरी हुन नसकेको
अक्सिजन चाहिने हो होइन के छ म एयरपोर्टमै छु विदिन 10 मिनट्समा रिसिभ गरेर म रेडी भइहाल्छु रेडी कन्डिसनमा बस्ने भनिदिनुहोस् म यहाँबाट म्याक्सिमम 40 मिनटमा म ल्यान्ड गरिहाल्छु
NTV World र आइसिएमएम अलर्ट गर्छु
प्रब्लम लेभल भनेपछि ओटीमा पनि अगाडि बढाइरहेको छु सिएसबाट पनि हो कि
बागलुङ जिल्ला बुर्तिबाङकी 17 वर्षीय गर्भवती महिलाको हवाई उद्धार गरिएको दृश्य हो यो। 2 दिनसम्म सुत्केरी व्यथा लागेको र स्थानीय स्वास्थ्य संस्थामा प्रसुति गराउन नसकेको कारण उनलाई गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकार, सामाजिक विकास तथा स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयले आपतकालीन हवाई उद्धार गरी पश्चिमाञ्चल क्षेत्रीय अस्पताल पोखरामा थप सेवा प्रदानका लागि ल्याइएको हो। असह्य प्रसव पीडाले छटपटिएर मृत्युको नजिक पुगेको दर्दनाक अवस्थामा उनको उद्धार भएको हो।
हाम्रो गाउँ धेरै माथि छ अनि हाम्रो गाउँमा यस्तो विकासहरू केही पनि रहेन, धेरै कम छ विकासहरू, न शिक्षा पनि छैन, खाने पानी पनि छैन, यातायात सुविधा मात्र गएको छ अनि यातायात सुविधामा नि बाटोहरू यस्तो बिग्रने भड्कने गरेको कारणले गाडी आउन ढिला गर्यो गर। म त्यस्तै सानो उमेरको गर्भवती 2 जना हुनुहुन्छ, उनीहरूलाई नि मलाई जस्तो नपरोस् न मेरो जस्तो बच्चा नहोस्, उनीहरूलाई नि यो सुविधा पाउन् उनीहरूले भन्ने।
नेपालमा भौगोलिक विकटता, गरिबी तथा स्वास्थ्य संस्थामा पहुँचको अभावका कारण समयमा प्रसुति सेवा नपाउँदा हरेक वर्ष लगभग 1400 गर्भवती महिलाहरू तथा नवजात शिशुहरूले अकालमा ज्यान गुमाउने गर्दछन्। नेपालमा विशेष गरी प्रसुति कहाँ गराउने भनेर निर्णय गर्न ढिलाइ, स्वास्थ्य संस्था पुग्न ढिलाइ तथा स्वास्थ्य संस्था पुगिसकेपछि पनि उपचार पाउन ढिलाइ आदि कारणबाट मातृ मृत्यु हुने गरेको पाइएको छ। नेपालको संविधानको धारा 38ले प्रत्येक महिलालाई सुरक्षित मातृत्व र प्रजनन स्वास्थ्य सम्बन्धी हक प्रदान गरेको छ। गर्भावस्था एक संवेदनशील अवस्था हो। नेपाल सरकारले प्रसुति सेवालाई आकस्मिक स्वास्थ्य सेवा अन्तर्गत वर्गीकरण गरेको छ। नेपालमा मातृ तथा बाल मृत्युमा कमी ल्याउने उद्देश्यले आर्थिक वर्ष 2073-74 को नीति तथा कार्यक्रम मार्फत राष्ट्रपति महिला उत्थान कार्यक्रम सञ्चालनमा आएको छ। नेपाल सरकारले हवाई उद्धार सम्बन्धी कार्यविधि 2075 पारित गर्यो। सोही कार्यविधि बमोजिम राष्ट्रपति महिला उत्थान कार्यक्रम मार्फत दुर्गम हिमाली तथा पहाडी क्षेत्रका ज्यान जोखिममा रहेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको हवाई उद्धार हुन थालेको हो, जस अन्तर्गत देशभरका जिल्लाहरूमध्ये 19 जिल्लामा पूर्ण र 29 जिल्लामा आंशिक रूपमा निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार कार्य सञ्चालनमा आयो। हालसम्म देशभरका 625 जना जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको हेलिकप्टरबाट निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार भइसकेको छ।
विगत 2073 देखि स्टार्ट भएको यो सुत्केरी तथा महिला उत्थान कार्यक्रम, तर यो 2075 सालतिर आएर चाहिँ हाम्रो यो MU अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ यो महिला तथा बालबालिका मन्त्रालय र नेपाली सेना बीच भएको र त्यसले गर्दाखेरि हाम्रो यो प्रक्रियाहरू चाहिँ एक्सपिडाइट हुने अलिकति प्रभावकारी भएको छ। र हाम्रो डाटाले पनि के बताउँछ भन्दाखेरि 75 सालदेखि 76 यता हेर्ने भने हरेक रेस्क्यु चाहिँ डबल, नम्बर अफ रेस्क्यु चाहिँ डबल भइरहेको छ। 75 सालमा जम्मा 24 वटा आर्मीले गरेका छन् भने 76 सालमा आउँदाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो चाहिँ 80 हुँदै 160 हुँदै यसरी बढ्दो क्रम छ। यो चाहिँ हामीले यसो मेरो पर्सनल ओपिनियनमा चाहिँ के लाग्छ भन्दाखेरि हाम्रो यो मन्त्रालय मार्फतबाटको जुन अवेरनेस प्रोग्राम त छँदैछ, त्यस बखत जुन हाम्रो यो नेपाली सेनाको हेलिकप्टर चाहिँ गाउँ गाउँमा पुग्दाखेरि चाहिँ मान्छेहरूलाई चाहिँ किन हेलिकप्टर आएछ भन्ने कुराको चासोले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो गाउँ गाउँमा चाहिँ एउटा अवेरनेस हो। हेलिकप्टरले चाहिँ नेपाली सेनाको हेलिकप्टरले चाहिँ सुत्केरी महिला रेस्क्यु गरेको छन् भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो हेलिकप्टरको आवाज र त्यो हेलिकप्टर त्यो गाउँमा घुमेको हिसाबले चाहिँ त्यहाँको स्थानीयहरू पनि अहिले यो सम्बन्धी चाहिँ अवेर हुँदै आएका छन् र यसले चाहिँ एउटा पोजिटिभ मेसेज गएको छ यो हेलिकप्टरले रेस्क्युले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ। हजुर, मोड अफ अपरेसन नै अलिकति फरक हुन्छ। हाम्रो जुन मेन्टल स्टेट हुन्छ सकेसम्म समयमा नै पुगौँ र समयमा नै सुत्केरी महिलाहरूलाई चाहिँ नजिकको हस्पिटलमा पुर्याइदिउँ भन्ने हाम्रो मनसाय रहेको हुन्छ।
संघीय सरकारको उक्त हवाई उद्धार कार्यक्रम सञ्चालनमा आएसँगै गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकारले पनि प्रशासकीय ऐन 2075 को दफा 2 ले दिएको अधिकारको प्रयोग गरी जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती र सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको हवाई उद्धार कार्यविधि 2080 लाई कार्यान्वयनमा ल्याएको छ। सोही कार्यविधि अनुसार हाल गण्डकी प्रदेशमा गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको जटिलता व्यवस्थापन कार्यक्रम अन्तर्गत निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार सेवा सञ्चालनमा आएको छ। ठूलो महत्वाकांक्षा र प्राथमिकताका साथ सञ्चालनमा ल्याइएको यस कार्यक्रम मार्फत हालसम्म 56 जना जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको हवाई उद्धार भइसकेको छ। गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकार सामाजिक विकास तथा स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयको टोली छायाङ्कनका निम्ति धवलागिरी गाउँपालिकातर्फ अघि बढेको दृश्य हो यो। टोली जति अघि बढ्दै जान्छ त्यति नै सुन्दर प्राकृतिक छटाहरू देखा पर्दै जान्छन्। अनुपम सौन्दर्य तर जोखिमपूर्ण यात्रा, प्राकृतिक मनमोहक दृश्य अनि दुर्गम बस्तीहरू, यस्तै अद्भुत अनुभूतिहरूसँग रमाउँदै टोली ताकम गाउँ पुग्दछ।
मसाले काम हुँदा मात्रै अब छरिने हैन, चराउने राम्रोसँग अनि पाली नतिर जानु भएन हैन।
हालसम्म यस धवलागिरी गाउँपालिकाबाट 7 जना जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती महिलाहरूको हवाई उद्धार भइसकेको छ र यस ताकम गाउँबाट मात्रै 3 जना गर्भवती महिलाको हवाई उद्धार गरी आमा र शिशुको ज्यान जोगाउन गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकार सफल भएको छ। यसै महत्वलाई आत्मसात गर्दै धवलागिरी गाउँपालिकाले आफ्ना 7 वटै वडाहरूमा एक-एकवटा हेलिप्याडको निर्माण समेत गरिसकेको छ। टोलीको गन्तव्य भने धवलागिरीको अर्को गाउँ मुदी रहेको थियो। चिसो हुस्सु र कुहिरो छिचोल्दै भीर पाखाको रोमाञ्चक तर जोखिमपूर्ण यात्रा गर्दै टोली साँझको समयमा आफ्नो गन्तव्यमा पुग्दछ। केही थकान त केही उत्साह साथमा लिएर पुगेको टोलीलाई मुदी गाउँका स्थानीयले गरेको सत्कारले थप ऊर्जाशील बनाइदिन्छ। गाउँमा आफ्ना छोरी बुहारीलाई बचाउन मद्दत गर्ने मन्त्रालयका अधिकारीहरूलाई स्वागत गर्न पाउँदा उनीहरूको खुसीको सीमा थिएन। पाहुनाको स्वागतको लागि कोही मकै भुट्नमा व्यस्त देखिन्थे भने कोही सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रमको आयोजनामा खटिएका थिए। मगर जातिको बाहुल्यता रहेको धौलागिरी हिमालको काखमा रहेको यस मुदी गाउँमा सामान्य खेतीपाती र पशुपालन नै आय आर्जनको प्रमुख स्रोत रहेको छ। यहाँ एउटा स्वास्थ्य चौकी अवस्थित छ। यसै स्वास्थ्य चौकीमा मुदीका गर्भवती महिलाहरूले प्रसुति सेवा प्राप्त गर्दै आएका छन्। प्रसङ्ग 2077 माघ 18 गतेको हो। यहाँकी स्थानीय महिला मीना पुनलाई 2 दिनसम्म प्रसव पीडाले च्याप्दछ। कमजोर भई लगभग बेहोस हुने अवस्थामा पुगेकी उनलाई समयमा नै गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकारले आपतकालीन हवाई उद्धार गरी पश्चिमाञ्चल क्षेत्रीय अस्पताल पोखरामा प्रसुति गराई सकुशल आमा र शिशुलाई घर फर्काइदिन्छ। यिनै मीना पुन र उनको परिवारलाई भेट्न यो टोली मुदी पुगेको हो। हवाई उद्धार गरी जन्मिएकी उनकी छोरी अहिले हिँडडुल गर्ने भइसकेकी छिन्।
चचाइरहेको थिएँ अनि डेट पनि एकवटा पछाडि थियो। अनि त्यस्तै हामी गोदमा बसेँ। सासू ससुरा बुढाबुढी घरमै बस्नुहुन्थ्यो। अनि पेट दुख्नु थाल्यो है बिहान। मलाई त त्यत्तिकै दुख्यो होला भने थाहा भएन। अनि फेरि पछाडि ढाड पनि दुख्ने, अगाडि पेट पनि दुख्ने एउटा व्यथा लागेको होला भन्ने सोचेँ मैले। बुढालाई चाहिँ भनेन। अनि त्यस्तो गर्दा झन्झन दुख्न लाग्यो। हेल्पोसमा बोकेर ल्याए चाहिँ 2 घन्टा मिल्थ्यो, तर बोक्नै मिलेन है। यसरी बोक्दा पनि पेट दुख्ने है, पछाडि बोक्न ढाड दुख्ने भएर बोक्नै मिलेन। झन् आत्तिन आयो के, म त मर्छु मेरो बच्चा नि जन्माउन पाउँदैन जस्तो लाग्यो। अनि हेलिकप्टर बोलाएर सिधै पोखरा लगेर गण्डकी हस्पिटलमा हेलिकप्टरमा चढेपछि बाँचिन्छ भन्ने चाहिँ आश लाग्यो। मेरो बच्चालाई जन्म दिन्छु, यो संसार देखाउँछु भन्ने पनि आश लाग्यो। दुःख पाएँ बेसरी। अब यस्तो दुःख कसैलाई नहोस्। यस्तो दुर्गम ठाउँहरूमा नि महिलालाई कति गाह्रो हुन्छ। यसरी उद्धार गरिदिनु भयो। मेरो ज्यान पनि बच्यो, बच्चाको ज्यान पनि बच्यो।
धन्यवाद सरकार, मेरो बारीले मेरो नातिनीले बचाइदिनु भयो।
दर्दनाक प्रसव पीडाले छटपटिएर राज्यसँग जीवनका लागि गुहार माग्नुपर्ने त्रासको अझै पनि अन्त्य भएको छैन। त्यसैले मीना पुन झैं जोखिममा परेका अन्य गर्भवती महिलाहरूको निरन्तर सेवामा गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकार अग्रसर देखिएको पाइन्छ। सुत्केरी भएको 45 दिनभित्र कुनै समस्या देखिए नजिकको अस्पताल पुर्याएर निशुल्क उपचार गराउने प्रावधान समेत यस कार्यक्रममा रहेको छ। छोटो समयमा नै गण्डकी प्रदेशको यो हवाई उद्धार कार्यक्रमले दिएको प्रतिफल उदाहरणीय बन्न सकेको छ। नेपालमा जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूका निम्ति यो एउटा बाँच्ने विकल्पको प्रमुख माध्यम बनेको छ। यस्ता प्रभावकारी र नवीनतम प्रयासहरू नेपाल लगायत नेपाल जस्ता कम आय भएका अन्य विकास उन्मुख राष्ट्रहरूका निम्ति पनि प्रभावकारी सिद्ध हुन सक्नेछन् भन्ने विश्वास लिन सकिन्छ। तत्काल हवाई उद्धारका लागि मन्त्रालयको हटलाइन टेलिफोन मार्फत प्रत्यक्ष सम्पर्कमा आएका वा स्थानीय स्वास्थ्य संस्थाको सिफारिस पत्रका आधारमा सम्बन्धित जिल्लाको प्रमुख जिल्ला अधिकारीको समन्वयमा सूचना प्राप्त हुनासाथ जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिला र नवजात शिशुको उद्धार गर्ने गरिएको छ।
गुड वेदर भएको बेला नो प्रब्लम, हामी डाइरेक्ट जान सक्छौँ होइन। ब्याड वेदर भएको बेला अलिक घुम्नु पर्ने हुन्छ, एक्स्ट्रा टाइम लाग्छ। त्यो लाग्ने समयमा बिरामीलाई के होला भन्ने हामीलाई चिन्तित तुर्याउँछ। त्यसले हाम्रो उद्देश्य नै टाइममा बिरामीलाई हस्पिटल ल्याउने र यथाशीघ्र चाहिँ स्वास्थ्य लाभ उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ एसिस्टेन्ट हो डक्टरकोमा पुर्याउँ भन्ने नै हाम्रो इन्टेन्सन हुन्छ। गण्डकी प्रदेश यो स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयबाट उहाँहरूसँग मेरो डाइरेक्ट नम्बर छ, सेल नम्बर, उहाँहरूले डाइरेक्ट कल गर्नुहुन्छ। कल आउने बित्तिकै यो सेन्सिटिभ रेस्क्यु फ्लाइट भएकोले चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ इमिडिएटली अरू टुरिस्ट फ्लाइटहरूलाई साइडमा राखेर भए पनि हामीले रेस्क्यु फ्लाइटलाई चाहिँ बेसी प्रिफरेन्स दिन्छौँ। कोअर्डिनेसन चाहिँ उहाँहरूसँग राम्रो हुन्छ हामीसँग।
अस्पतालको भूमिकाको कुरा गर्नुपर्दाखेरि चाहिँ मन्त्रालयबाट चाहिँ यहाँ कन्ट्याक्ट हुन्छ। त्यसमा विशेष गरेर हाम्रो अस्पतालमा इमर्जेन्सी वार्डको इन्चार्ज चाहिँ फोकल पर्सनको रूपमा तोकिनु भएको छ र उहाँहरू मन्त्रालयबाट फोन आउँदाखेरि चाहिँ इमर्जेन्सी वार्डको ल्यान्डलाइन नम्बर छ हाम्रो र इमर्जेन्सी वार्डको इन्चार्जको नम्बर छ। कुनै पनि नम्बरमा चाहिँ उहाँले कन्ट्याक्ट गरेर यस्तो खालके केस चाहिँ एयरलिफ्ट हुँदैछ भनेर इन्फर्मेसन दिनुहुन्छ। त्यसपछि चाहिँ उहाँ जो फोकल पर्सन हुनुहुन्छ उहाँले चाहिँ त्यतिखेर चाहिँ एउटा टिम चाहिँ एक्टिभेट हुन्छ। गाइनेकोलोजिस्ट हुनुहुन्छ, उहाँलाई चाहिँ खबर गर्नुहुन्छ, म्याटर्निटी वार्डको इन्चार्जलाई खबर गर्नुहुन्छ र आइसियू चाहिन सक्छ कि भन्ने अवस्थामा अलर्ट बनाउनको लागि मात्रै भए पनि आइसियूमा बेड छ कि छैन, यस्तो खालके केस चाहिँ एयरलिफ्ट हुँदैछ अनि कसैलाई खाली गर्ने सक्ने खालके अवस्था छ कि छैन भन्नको लागि पनि त्यो खालके माहौल चाहिँ क्रिएट हुन्छ। उहाँहरूले चाहिँ त्यसरी एक्टिभेट हुनुहुन्छ र त्यसपछि चाहिँ उहाँ इमर्जेन्सी वार्डको इन्चार्ज अथवा फोकल पर्सन थ्रु नै हेलिप्याडमा चाहिँ एउटा टिम चाहिँ खटाइन्छ जसले चाहिँ पेसेन्टलाई रिसिभ गर्नुहुन्छ।
सन् 2016 को जनसाङ्ख्यिक तथा स्वास्थ्य सम्बन्धी सर्वेक्षणका अनुसार नेपालमा प्रति 1 लाख गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी मध्ये 239 जनाले ज्यान गुमाउने गरेका थिए। पछिल्लो तथ्याङ्क अनुसार हाल यो संख्या घटेर 151 मा झरेको पाइएको छ। सोही सर्वेक्षण अनुसार यसरी उल्लेख्य संख्यामा महिला मृत्युदर घट्नुका कारणहरूमध्ये गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको जटिलता व्यवस्थापन अन्तर्गतको निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार कार्यक्रम समेतको महत्त्वपूर्ण भूमिका रहेको मान्न सकिन्छ। नेपाल सरकारले सन् 2030 सम्ममा मातृ मृत्युदर प्रति लाख जीवित जन्ममा 70 मा झार्ने लक्ष्य लिएको छ। यस लक्ष्यलाई पूरा गर्नको निमित्त स्थानीय तहमा दक्ष जनशक्ति सहितको पर्याप्त स्रोत साधनयुक्त बर्थिङ सेन्टरको स्थापनाको आवश्यकता देखिन्छ। यसबाहेक हवाई उद्धार कार्यविधि बमोजिम नाइट भिजन सुविधा सहितको निशुल्क एयर एम्बुलेन्स सेवा सञ्चालनमा ल्याउनु, उद्धारका लागि समन्वय र सञ्चार प्रणालीलाई व्यवस्थित र छिटो थरितो बनाई आपतकालीन स्वास्थ्य सेवाको टोलीलाई सतर्क र तयारी अवस्थामा राख्नु पनि त्यत्तिकै जरुरी देखिएको छ। गण्डकी प्रदेशको कुल 85 वटै स्थानीय तहमा कम्तीमा 1 वडा 1 हेलिप्याड भएको खण्डमा जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको जीवन रक्षाको लागि यो निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार कार्यक्रम वरदान साबित हुने कुरामा दुई मत छैन।
Inquiry commission to summon former Prime Minister and Home Minister to probe the September incidents as its term gets 1 month extension. Voting underway to elect a new CP-UML leadership. Process delayed as voting through electronic machines took longer than expected. Election Commission makes new provision on use of flag during the election campaigning. Proposes new provision in the Election Code of Conduct. Nepal's paddy farmers struggle despite minimum support price as government procurement falls short. Naveed Akram, charged with 59 offences over the Bondi mass shooting that saw 15 people killed, remains hospitalised in Sydney under police guard. And Nepal suffers a 6-wicket defeat to Afghanistan under 19 Asia Cup cricket tournament match today. Nepal now out of the tournament following 3 consecutive defeats. Hello there, I'm Smita Gising Tamang and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours and Nepal time. Now the news in detail. Commission of Inquiry into the incidents of September 8 and 9 is preparing to call the then Prime Minister and Home Minister for statements next week. Commission Chairperson Gauri Bahadur Karki informed the media after briefing Prime Minister Sushila Karki about the development at Singadarbar today. The commission, formed on September 21 with a 3-month term, has already taken statements from high-ranking security and administrative officials regarding the incidents of September 8 and 9. Since the term of the commission is set to expire on December 24, officials have requested the government to extend it by 1 month to continue the statement-taking process. Prime Minister Karki has confirmed that the extension will be granted. The Commission began its work on September 25 and is actively proceeding with its investigation. The voting for the new leadership of the Nepal Communist Party UML has been delayed due to delays in the use of electronic voting machines. The voting, which began at around 9:30 a.m. this morning in Brikuti Mandap, Kathmandu, is expected to continue until tomorrow. Voting is still underway in Brikuti Mandap. Even while voting through the machine, some voters took up to 2 hours, which has delayed the voting process, informed Sanu Raja Pokhrel, Vice Chairman of the Election Commission of the UML. It was estimated that it would take at least 30 to 35 minutes for each person, but it took more time than expected, said Rajendra Gautam, head of the publicity department. Gautam said that 301 out of 622 people took time to vote. The Commission has stated that the voting will continue until it is completed. There's a competition between KP Sharma Oli and Ishwar Pokhrel for the post of chairman. Similarly, 622 candidates, including 19 office bearers, are in the fray for the 301-member Central Committee. There are a total of 2,263 delegates at the General Convention. Lalitpur Metropolitan City marked its 107th founding anniversary with a special program today, bringing together political leaders, local representatives and community members. Prime Minister Sushila Karki, addressing the program, said the government is working with a strong focus on good governance and elections, emphasizing its commitment to completing the upcoming House of Representatives polls.
मुलुकलाई संविधान सम्मत लोकतान्त्रिक विधि र सुशासनको मार्गमा सुरक्षित तवरले अघि बढाउन हाम्रा सामने रहेको एकमात्र विकल्प भनेको निर्वाचन नै हो। म थप प्रश्न पार्न चाहन्छु, समाजमा कुनै पनि खालका अराजकताले ठाउँ पाउनु हुँदैन। शान्ति खलबलाउने, कानुन हातमा लिने जस्ता अराजक र अपराधिक क्रियाकलाप नियन्त्रण गर्न सुरक्षा प्रशासन सक्षम र सक्रिय छ। खराब तत्त्वको प्रतिरोध गर्न समुदायको नि भूमिका उत्तिकै हुन्छ। आउनुहोस् यसमा हात इमालो गरौँ।
Paddy farmers across Nepal are facing difficulties in getting fair prices for their produce as government procurement under the minimum support price remains limited. After government quotas are met, farmers are compelled to sell paddy to private traders at lower rates. Despite increased domestic production, rice imports from India continue to rise, raising concerns over ineffective implementation of the government's support price policy and lack of market access for local farmers. We look more into this in our cover story for today. Naveed Akram has been charged with 59 offences over the Bondi mass shooting on Sunday that saw 15 people killed. The 24-year-old awoke from a coma on Tuesday after sustaining injuries during an exchange of fire with police in Bondi. He remains hospitalized in Sydney under police guard. The offences include 1 terrorist act, 15 counts of murder and 40 counts of cause wounding, grievous bodily harm to person with intent to murder. Australian police have also charged Akram over discharging a firearm, the public display of a prohibited terrorist organisation symbol, and placing an explosive near the building. Police will allege Akram engaged in conduct that caused death, serious injury and endangered life to advance a religious cause and cause fear in the community. He faced court today via video conference and is set to face another court mention on Monday. Nepal lost to Afghanistan by 6 wickets in the match held today under the Under-19 Asia Cup cricket tournament. In its final group stage match under the Group B held in Dubai, the UAE today, Afghanistan achieved the victory target of 125 runs set by Nepal in 26.5 hours, losing 4 wickets. For Afghanistan's victory, Uzairullah Niazai scored 61 runs, while Usman Sadat contributed 28 runs, with captain Mehboob Khan remaining unbeaten on 11 runs. For the bowling side, Nepal's Abhishek Tiwari took 2 wickets and Bipin Sharma took 1 wicket. Earlier invited to bat first after losing the toss, Nepal was all out for 124 runs in 46.4 hours. Dilsad Ali top scored with 32 runs for Nepal, while Chandan Ram contributed 27 runs and Abhishek Tiwari added 20 runs. Afghanistan's Zaitullah Shaheen took 3 wickets, while Abdul Aziz and Nuristani Omarzai and Wahidullah Zadran took 2 wickets each. Nepal is now out of the tournament following today's defeat, the 3rd consecutive loss in the tournament. Prior to this, Nepal had lost to Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Delegates at CPN-UML's 11th National Congress faced a marathon voting session, casting 320 votes on what has been called Nepal's longest electronic ballot paper. Even the e-voting machines at Brikudi Mandap couldn't speed things up, taking over half an hour to finish. More on this in our issue of the day. Welcome back. In what can we call the longest electronic ballot paper, delegates in the 11th National Congress of one of Nepal's largest political parties, CPN-UML, cast 320 votes. Even the electronic voting machine installed at the Congress venue in Brikudi Mandap could not help delegates finish the job in less than half an hour. Sabika Shrestha brings more.
In this Congress convention, many people from different 77 districts are here, from 7 provinces are here to cast the vote. So the journey of UML is being set up today. So people, the voters from different districts are coming here, they are voting.
Despite reservations, grievances, individual ambitions, and ultimately the 2 panels, delegates in the CPN-UML 11th General Congress voted to choose their new leadership. Just 1 hour delay was acceptable in the voting done using electronic voting machines amid tight internal as well as state-provided security. According to the UML Central Election Commission, 80 electronic voting machines have been installed at the venue, the exhibition center in Vrikuti Mandap. Altogether, 2,263 representatives took part in the voting to elect 19 office bearers, including the party chairperson and general secretary, along with a massive 301-member central committee. Delegates said it took them almost half an hour to complete the voting process because of the lengthy ballot. A total of 660 aspiring leaders have filed candidacies for central committee positions. Looking at the competition, nearly after a decade, the Communist Party is divided into two clear panels. Chair KP Sharma Oli led Inception panel and Senior Vice Chair Ishwar Pokhrel led panel. The Congress venue was a diverse gathering of party representatives, including women, youth leaders, senior cadres, and grassroots members. A youth delegate attending the convention said the party has created a space for younger members. Despite the newly amended party statute commissioning only 5% reservation in the Central Committee for people under the age of 40 years.
Under 40, we have a good number of participation in the Congress, and we are expecting that the number will reflect in the Central Committee also. So we are really looking forward for the very dynamic and then very strong leadership for the country.
Some known faces like Komaloli spoke of the democratic exercise within the party, which she believed will further strengthen the party. The Congress inaugurated at Sallaghari Bhaktapur last Saturday will conclude after the completion of voting and announcement of results. With the leadership selection underway, the party's future course of action remains in a wait-and-watch phase until the final results are declared. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Samir Thapa reporting for NTV World.
We asked the representatives what is the way forward for CP and UML in our public pulse for today. Let's take a look.
Youth voices are going to be heard, especially because of the recent activities as well. And the leadership is now slowly also listening to what the young people have to say. And if there's any kind of structural or any kind of reforms required, then it needs to be conducted organically, not in a top-down or a bottom approach, but it needs to be an organical approach where there's a collaborative as well as a very conducive environment for everybody to put their point of view, as well as to take the party forward as well.
नेकपा एमालेलाई राष्ट्रिय शक्तिको रूपमा निर्माण गर्ने हाम्रो संकल्प है अनि राष्ट्रिय शक्ति निर्माण गरेर देशले खोजेको जनताले चाहेको सुखी नेपाली समृद्ध नेपालको राष्ट्रिय आकांक्षालाई गन्तव्यसम्म पुर्याउने
Educating citizens more about the democratic values and sustaining the leadership that number of youth leadership that are coming into the central committee this time, that is sustaining this leadership to further groom up to take the lead of the CP and UML.
विशेष गरी जेएनजी आन्दोलन पछाडिको जुन अहिले एमाले प्रति आक्रमण छ अथवा एमाले विरुद्धमा चाहिँ जुन किसिमको एमाले चाहिँ जेएनजी आन्दोलनको अथवा जेएनजी मुभमेन्टको विरुद्धमा भनेर जुन देखाइएको छ त्यसको त्यो चाहिँ होइन भन्ने चिर्ने गरी र सँगसँगै नवयुवा पुस्तालाई चाहिँ आगामी दिनमा चाहिँ उहाँहरूको इच्छा चाहना अनुसार नै र आगामी दिनमा देश कसरी समृद्ध बन्छ भन्ने विषयमा सबै पक्षलाई समायोजित गरेर जाने किसिमको लिडरशिप इलेक्सनमा आउँछ र त्यसपछि चाहिँ अनि त्यसले चाहिँ आगामी देशमा नेपालको समृद्ध नेपाल बनाउने अभियानलाई चाहिँ यो नयाँ नेतृत्वले चाहिँ एड्रेस गर्ने गरी अगाडि बढ्छ.
Of course, the prosperity Nepali and then the peaceful Nepal is one of the key areas that CP and UML has been working on that since the very long. And we do believe with the CP and UML is the party who can lead for this. So, of course, the peaceful country as well as the prosperity country as well as happy Nepali is the one key areas that the party has been working on.
To establish the democratic lines, democratic constitution to be in track. So, and the other hand, we are preparing for the strengthening of the people's power, and we are thinking to make our party as a national decisive force.
It is declared on the inaugural session held in 27th
in Bhaktapur, and there is the slogan. Okay, the slogan especially focused on happy Nepali, all right, and prosperous Nepal. Majorly, this is the slogan.
Many youths are joining the party. Many youths are candidate for central committees. Many youths are candidate for secretary as well. And many other youths, new organization has started National Volunteer Force after the protest. So we are being centered on how we can be established as a political party that has very strong legacy and that will be more popular among the current generation.
Despite a government-set minimum support price, Nepal's paddy farmers are struggling to sell their harvest at fair rates. Limited procurement, high cost and rising imports are leaving growers in Kailali, Parsa and Japa at a loss. We delve into this deeper in our cover story of the day. Nepal's government has failed to buy paddy at the minimum support price due to limited budget and capacity. Although last year's paddy production exceeded 5.9 million metric tons, government procurement remained low, with only 103,000 quintals purchased this year. The support price was raised to 2,967 rupees per quintal, about $22.5 for coarse paddy, and 3,128 rupees, about $23.7 for medium paddy, but farmers say they are unable to sell at these rates. Nepal continues to import large quantities of rice, with imports exceeding 10 billion rupees, which is about $76 million by mid-November this fiscal year. Meanwhile, farmers in key districts in western Nepal, Kailali and Kanchanpur, struggle to get fair prices for their paddy this year. The government procurement quotas have forced them to sell to private traders, compromising at low rates, while rice imports from India continue to rise. Rojina Rai, with our local correspondent Dinesh Bista, explains the reality.
Seasonal paddy production in Nepal's far western region is projected to decline by approximately 5% compared to the previous year. Over the years, the region has demonstrated a high rate of paddy cultivation completion during time period. However, the region faced potential production shortfalls this year. The summer monsoon drought and later unseasonal rain during harvest largely affected the production. The region typically contributes about 10% of Nepal's total rice production. Despite being major contributors, the farmers in two major far western districts in Nepal, Kailali and Kanchanpur, are forced to sell their produce at a compromised price. This is leading to financial distress. Farmers lament the influx of cheaper rice from India has made it difficult for them to sell their paddy and even recover production cost. The paddy production this year in Kanchanpur recorded 218,000 metric tons. Kailali recorded 308,434 metric tons. Production declined in Kailali by 5.26% compared to last year. In contrary, Kanchanpur sees a slight increase. Only a small portion of 6,000 out of procured 40,000 quintals were purchased by the Food Management and Trading Company Limited. Having some additional procurement under the government quota, the majority of farmers' paddy remains stockpiled in warehouses. Being forced to sell paddy at prices that fail to cover production cost has left farmers severely affected. Meanwhile, as domestically produced paddy fails to find a market, rice imports from India continue to rise sharply.
चामलको स्थिति अहिले यो विगत श्रावणदेखि अहिलेसम्मको भन्नाले गत महिनाको अन्तिमसम्मको हेर्दाखेरि हाम्रो 34 लाख किलो चामल आयात भएको देखियो हैन जुन हाम्रो 19 करोड भ्याल्यु बराबरको र राजस्व छ यसको 1 करोड 82 लाख असुली छ।
The government has fixed the minimum support price for coarse paddy at 3,463.81 Nepali rupee, equivalent to $23.79 per quintal. However, the current market price has fallen to as low as $16.49 per quintal. Stakeholders warn that a country known for its agrarian, the inability of domestic farmers to receive fair prices for their produce, coupled with the annual consumption of Indian rice worth $1 billion of rupees, signals a deepening crisis in the agricultural sector.
Nepal's effort to protect rice farmers through a government-set minimum support price is falling short on the ground. The government has fixed the support price for paddy at 3,628 rupees per quintal, more than 500 rupees above the market rate. But in Bursa district, many farmers say they are unable to access the scheme due to the poor awareness and costly procurement procedures. While the state-owned food management and trading company has begun purchasing paddy under a 10,000 quintal quota, most farmers have already sold their harvest to private traders at much lower prices, some as low as 2,800 rupees per quintal. Farmers say transporting paddy to government collection centres, paying local road taxes and navigating paperwork outweigh the benefit of the higher price. Despite a government-fixed support price, Nepal's paddy farmers are selling their harvest at a loss. Poor implementation and limited buying centres are leaving growers unprotected. Sarah Sapsanama Rai brings more on it with our local correspondent, DK Islama.
Nepal's government-set minimum support price for paddy has failed to protect farmers, exposing serious gaps between policy and implementation. Although the government fixed the support price at 34 rupees per kilogram for coarse paddy and 36 rupees for fine varieties, farmers say they were forced to sell the harvest for as low as 25 to 30 rupees per kilogram due to a lack of procurement centres and weak market oversight. In Chapa, the country's largest paddy producing district, only 3 cooperatives have begun purchasing paddy this season, with a limited target of 3,500 metric tons. Officials say rising imports of rice and paddy from India continue to distort the domestic market. Nepal produces around 5 to 6 million metric tons of paddy annually, still short of national demand. Agricultural experts warn that without consistent pricing policies and effective procurement, farmers will continue to lose and the country's food security will remain at risk.
Nepal's Election Commission has made a new provision on use of flag during the election campaigning. In the coming March 5 election to the House of Representatives HOR, the Commission proposed a new provision in the Election Code of Conduct, as per which the political parties would not be allowed carrying more than 10 flags. Such schemes being introduced to curb the misuse of flag. The office of the party or election candidate can place a flag prepared with fabric 3 by 4 feet or have a signboard of same size. The political parties are not allowed to use digital board, flex or glue signboard and audiovisual materials as the flag. The proposed code of conduct has further reminded the political parties to not visit the voters' doorstep in a group of over 25 persons. The election campaigning will be further deterred using musical bands and pageants. Nepal and the United Nations have celebrated 70 years of partnership. Since joining the UN on 14 December 1955, Nepal has maintained a strong and active role in the world body. Nepal is the largest contributor of the troops to UN peacekeeping missions and continues to work closely with the UN on peace, development and human rights initiatives. Over the years, the UN has supported Nepal in improving health, education and livelihoods, helping the country progress towards development goals. An event was held in Kathmandu today to mark the occasion. On the same occasion, Prime Minister Sushila Karki highlighted Nepal's strong commitment to the UN, emphasizing that the long-standing partnership has helped improve health, education and livelihoods in the country. PM Karki reaffirmed Nepal's role as a reliable partner in global peace and development initiatives and stressed the importance of continuing collaboration to tackle emerging challenges and promote a better future.
Nepal highly values the United Nations. You help maintain world peace, support growth, and help us build a better future. for a long time. The UN has helped Nepal improve the lives of our people. We truly appreciate your support. This 70 years milestone is a time to look back at our journey.
Chinese ambassador to Nepal, Chen Song, paid a courtesy call on Prime Minister Sushila Karki at Singapore on Monday as he's preparing to return home after completing his tenure. According to the Prime Minister's Secretariat, the meeting focused on various aspects of Nepal-China relations and issues of mutual bilateral interest. On the occasion, Ambassador Song said that China, as a close friend of Nepal, has been supporting Nepal's development and infrastructure sectors and assured that such cooperation would continue in the future. Prime Minister Karki congratulated Ambassador Song on the successful completion of his tenure and wished him a pleasant journey back home. The Prime Minister reaffirmed Nepal's commitment to the One China policy and assured that Nepal would not allow any activities from its territory that could undermine China's national interests. The Asian Development Bank ADB will provide Nepal with a $100 million concessional loan to support fiscal federalism, strengthen public financial management and improve budgetary systems at the federal, provincial and local levels. The loan under Sub-Program 2 of ADB's Strengthening Public Financial Management and Devolved Service Delivery Program was signed by Finance Secretary Dr. Ghanshyam Upadhyay and ADB Nepal Country Director Arnaud Kokois at the Ministry of Finance. The policy-based loan will be offered as budgetary support with a 24-year repayment period, including an 8-year grace period. The interest rate will be 1% until February 1, 2034, rising to 1.5% thereafter. Officials said the program aims to enhance budget formulation and implementation, improve service delivery, strengthen fiscal discipline, and empower local governments, contributing to inclusive and sustainable development. Nepal has witnessed a steady rise in labour migration, driven largely by limited job opportunities at home. Every year, hundreds of thousands of Nepalese leave the country in search of work abroad, a trend that continues to reshape the nation's economy, workforce and future. Aprila Gisinglama brings more from our reporter Pawan Barshasha.
For many Nepalis, foreign employment is no longer a choice, it is a necessity. With limited opportunities in the domestic labor market, the number of people seeking jobs overseas continue to rise each year. According to Nepal's Department of Foreign Employment, more than 839,000 workers obtained labor permits in the last fiscal year alone. Of them, 94,000 were women, reflecting the growing participation of women in labor migration. The trend remains strong this year as well. By mid-December, over 350,000 had already received labor permits. During the same period last year, the figure stood at 323,000, indicating a year-on-year increase. The scale of migration has expanded dramatically over time. In 2009, only about 4% of Nepali workers sought employment abroad. Today, that number has risen to nearly 13%, underscoring how deeply foreign employment has become embedded in Nepal's labor landscape. Despite the social cost, labor migration remains a critical pillar of the economy. The central bank, that is, the Nepal Rashtra Bank, data shows that the country received approximately 17 billion Nepali rupees in remittances last fiscal year, a vital source of income that supports households and strengthens national reserves. Labor destinations are also changing. While Gulf countries once dominated as the primary destinations for Nepali workers, officials say Eastern Europe is now emerging as a growing alternative.
Better salary हुने, better security भएको, better human rights भएको, better चाहिँ working कार्यस्थलमा चाहिँ भएको हैन, अलिक किन लामो अवधिको चाहिँ रोजगार गर्न पाइने, यस्तो चाहिँ हामीले पनि लेबर डेस्टिनेसन कन्ट्रीको डाइभर्सिफिकेसन गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने ढंगले काम गरेको अवस्था छ। त्यसैको उदाहरण स्वरूप हामीले 16 वटा मुलुकमा चाहिँ जीसीसी कन्ट्री, गल्फ कन्ट्री, मलेसियाहरु बाहेक चाहिँ 16 वटाको चाहिँ युरोपियन पूर्वी युरोपियन मुलुकहरुको लगायत युरोपियन मुलुकहरुमा चाहिँ हामीले श्रम समुदायलाई प्रस्ताव गरेर पठाएका छौं।
The pressure to migrate reflects deeper challenges at home. Each year, Nepal's labor market needs to generate more than 500,000 new jobs, but only around 100,000 positions are currently created domestically. To manage labor mobility, Nepal has signed formal labor agreements with 12 countries, including Qatar, South Korea, Malaysia, Japan, the UAE, Israel, the United Kingdom, Germany, and Romania. While institutional recruitment is officially open to 108 countries, Nepali workers, both through formal and individual channels, are now employed across more than 180 countries worldwide.
2 Asian elephants gifted by the government of Nepal to the state of Qatar have flown out today, marking a symbolic moment in diplomatic ties between the two countries. The elephants were transported aboard a Qatar Airways Boeing 777 freighter under flight number QR8824, which departed shortly after 5 p.m. local time. The elephants, a 6-year-old male Khagendra Prasad and a 7-year-old female Rudrakali, departed for Doha this afternoon from Gautam Buddha International Airport in Bhairava. Accompanying them on the journey are 2 experienced Nepalese mahots and a veterinary technician from Chitwan. They will stay in Qatar temporarily to monitor the elephants' health and to train local staff in proper care and handling before returning home. The gift follows a commitment made during the official visit of Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani to Nepal in April last year. Both elephants were born and raised at Nepal's Elephant Breeding and Training Center in Chitwan National Park, a facility known for its long-standing role in conservation and training. Authorities say all preparations and transport procedures met international animal welfare standards. International updates at the other side, but before that, let's have a quick recap of the top stories this hour. Inquiry commission to summon former Prime Minister and Home Minister to probe the September incidents as its term gets 1-month extension. Voting underway to elect new CPN-UML leadership. Voting process delayed as voting through electronic machine took longer than expected. Election Commission makes new provision on use of flag during the election campaigning. Proposes new provision in the Election Code of Conduct. Nepal's paddy farmers struggle despite minimum support price as government procurement falls short. Naveed Akram, charged with 59 offences over the Bondi mass shooting that saw 15 people killed, remains hospitalised in Sydney. And Nepal suffers a 6-wicket defeat to Afghanistan under 19 Asia Cup cricket tournament match today. Nepal now out of the tournament. U.S. President Donald J. Trump signed a new proclamation aimed at tightening entry restrictions for nationals from countries deemed high risk due to persistent and severe deficiencies in screening, vetting, and information sharing. In a statement released by the White House, the administration said the measure seeks to protect U.S. national security and public safety. The proclamation also narrows family-based visa exemptions to reduce fraud risks while preserving case-by-case waivers. Exceptions remain for lawful permanent residents, existing visa holders, diplomats, athletes, and individuals whose entry serves U.S. national interests. Doctors are picketing outside London's St Thomas Hospital in London as a 5-day strike by resident doctors in England gets underway following the government's failure to present what medics describe as a credible offer on pay and workforce shortages. The industrial action comes at a critical time just ahead of the busy Christmas season and as the UK grapples with a super flu outbreak that is placing additional strain on the National Health Service NHS. Despite a new government offer last week, the strike is going ahead. The British Medical Association BMA said 83% of its members voted to continue the walkout in an online poll held over the weekend with a turnout of 65%. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer said he was gutted by the outcome, calling the decision irresponsible given the mounting pressure on health services from rising flu cases. The BMA had agreed to the SNAP poll after the government proposed a revised deal that included increasing the number of specialty training posts and covering out-of-pocket expenses such as exam fees. However, union leaders said the offer fell short of addressing long-standing concerns over real terms pay erosion and staffing shortages. A South Korean court has scheduled January 16, 2026 as the date to deliver its verdict in former President Yoon Suk-yeol's trial for allegedly obstructing the execution of an arrest warrant despite his request for a delay. Yoon is facing multiple criminal trials, including charges of obstructing the execution of an arrest warrant issued by the Corruption Investigation Office for High-Ranking Officials, CIO, and leading an insurrection. The arrest obstruction case will be the first among 5 cases involving the former president to reach a verdict. The court set the sentencing date in accordance with the Appointment of Independent Prosecutor Act, which requires that a first trial verdict be rendered within 6 months of indictment. Yoon's legal team has requested that the court postpone the verdict until after a ruling is issued in the separate insurrection trial. Business news coming up next after a short break.
U.S. unemployment rose to a 4-year high of 4.6% in November. This signals growing weakness in the world's largest labor market, even as job creation exceeded expectations. Employers added 64,000 jobs, according to the Labor Department, offering some resilience amid slowing momentum. The report, the first since the U.S. government's shutdown, also revised down job gains for earlier months, reinforcing concerns that hiring is cooling. Recent job losses were partly driven by federal government cuts, reflecting tighter fiscal policy. The mixed data leaves the Federal Reserve divided as it balances a softening job market against persistent inflation pressures. The Fed cut interest rates by 25 basis points last week, its third reduction this year, to support economic growth. While policymakers currently signal only one further rate cut in 2026, additional evidence of labor market weakness could shift expectations, with implications for global markets, borrowing costs, and capital flows. For investors worldwide, U.S. employment trends remain a key driver of interest rate expectations and market direction. Companies worldwide are rolling out Year of the Horse-themed products ahead of the upcoming Lunar New Year, highlighting the holiday's growing influence on global consumer markets. In China, retailers are reporting strong early demand for traditional New Year items, signaling solid consumer confidence going into the holiday season. Analysts say the Lunar New Year has become a key seasonal sales driver, particularly across Asia. International brands are also tapping into the trend. Jordan has unveiled its Year of the Horse 2026 collection, continuing its long-running Lunar New Year product line tailored for Asian markets. Economists note that zodiac-themed releases are increasingly important for fashion, luxury goods, and specialty products, as global brands align designs with cultural traditions to boost sales. With the Lunar New Year approaching, retailers expect the Year of the Horse, symbolizing energy and momentum, to support strong seasonal demand across international markets. Warner Bros. Discovery is expected to urge shareholders to reject a $108.4 billion takeover offer from Paramount Skydance, citing concerns over the financing and structure of the deal, according to media reports. Paramount has urged its proposal is superior to Warner Bros.' existing agreement to sell its film and streaming businesses to Netflix for $72 billion announced earlier this month. However, the takeover bid has been weakened after a key financial backer withdrew, raising doubts about Paramount's ability to fund the acquisition. Warner Bros. Has been exploring strategic options since October after attracting interest from multiple potential buyers. The company ultimately chose the Netflix deal, which would reshape the global film and streaming landscape. The competing bids highlight intensifying consolidation pressure in the global media industry as companies seek scale to compete in an increasingly crowded streaming market. Hashkey Holdings, operator of Hong Kong's largest licensed crypto exchange, slipped 0.15% in its stock market debut, valuing the company at about $2.4 billion. Shares briefly rose in early trading before closing slightly below the IPO price. The company raised about $205 million and said the funds will be used to upgrade technology, strengthen risk management, and expand talent. Hashkey is among the first firms approved to offer regulated crypto trading in Hong Kong and operates across Asia, the Middle East, and offshore markets. The listing comes as global crypto investor sentiment weakens with digital asset prices under pressure. Analysts say the IPO highlights both Hong Kong's push to position itself as a regulated crypto hub and the challenges facing the sector amid market volatility.
Time now for sports update. Paris Saint-Germain winger Ousmane Dembélé won the Best FIFA Men's Player award, while Barcelona midfielder Aitana Bonmati claimed the Best FIFA Women's Player honour for a third consecutive year. England's Lionesses also had a successful outing, with Serena Wakeman named Best FIFA Women's Coach and Hannah Hampton emerging Best FIFA Women's Goalkeeper. Paris Saint-Germain's Champions League winning manager Luis Enrique was crowned Best FIFA Men's Coach. Argentina's Santiago Montiel won the FIFA Puskas Award, while Mexico's Lisbeth Ovel claimed the FIFA Marta Award for a spectacular reverse scorpion kick. FIFA has introduced a small number of more affordable $60 tickets for all 104 matches of the 2026 World Cup following criticism of its pricing structure for the tournament. World Football's governing body says the new ticket price will be available to a certain number of loyal fans of the countries that have qualified for the World Cup. The €45 ticket falls in the supporter entry tier, the lowest price category, and will make up 10% of the allocation for each football association whose team is taking part in a competition being hosted by Canada, Mexico, and the United States. For England and Scotland, this will mean about 400 tickets will be available for £45 for their group matches. Meetings took place over the weekend and early this week with senior officials in Doha, Qatar, where initial feedback on pricing was discussed. Having raised fans' concerns over the cost of tickets with FIFA's hierarchy before the meeting in Doha, English Football Association insiders privately see the announcement as a step in the right direction. Time now for the weather update, first from Nepal and then from across the world. before we wrap up, let's take a look into the headlines once again. Inquiry Commission to summon former Prime Minister and Home Minister to probe the September incidents as its term gets 1 month extension. Voting underway to elect new CPN-UML leadership. A voting process delayed as electronic voting machine took longer than expected. Election Commission makes new provision on use of flag during the election campaigning. Proposes new provision in the Code of Conduct. Nepal's paddy farmers struggle despite minimum support price as government procurement falls short. Naveed Akram, charged with 59 offences over the Bondi mass shooting that saw 15 people killed, remains hospitalised in Sydney under police guard. And Nepal suffers a 6-wicket defeat to Afghanistan under 19 Asia Cup cricket tournament match today. Nepal now out of the tournament. And that's it for this edition of NTV World News Hour. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. This is me, Thugiseng Tamang. Thank you for staying with us. Good night.